You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
So I've been reliably informed that my president is nothing can stop what is coming posting. I haven't been able to catch up on the happenings of the last, hour and a half or so because I was prepping the Labe, and I had a couple tweets over the weekend that have gone nuclear, and the more recent one was absolutely obliterating my ability to use my Twitter account. Everything was getting all hung up. I'm trying to open bookmarks and the whole. I have no idea how these guys that get banger tweets all the time. I have no idea how they function. I could barely get stuff to open and stay open and load, and videos are getting all hung up and everything. But I think everything's good to go now. I'm happy to know that by the time this show is over, I'm going to have a bunch more fun stuff to catch up on. I basically got tomorrow's Lab already prepared because I tried to fit everything into today, and I was like, no, there's no possible way. I will be here for 10 hours if I try to cover everything that I had bookmarked and prepared over the weekend and then into today. Oh yes, thank you, Howie Snowden, for the reminder. The tip link. Did you tip your streamer yet, Anon? Tax-free tips for yours truly if you'd like to support what I'm doing here and keep me doing it. The link is now pinned in the chat. Tips.kingpill.com. Appreciate you. Before we get to new tips coming in, I gotta make sure I get this one right here.
I will your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. Your leftist ass like corn on the cob.
Reminder for my Miss Trump message.
Yes, Dave Johnson, thank you, my friend. I can't believe it. I cannot believe that I accidentally forgot to give you your Trump message with your tip on Friday's Lave. So here it is.
You know, Dave Johnson is the gayest person to ever walk this green earth.
What a special guy that is. Mr. Trump, our president, and the,
Here comes the money.
oh boy.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter.
For Charlie.
For Charlie, indeed. Thank you, Howie Snowden. You alpha male. Starting the show off with an alpha male alert. That's the way to do it. You know what an alpha male alert demands? You know what it demands? You guys know what it demands. Come on, tell me in the chat. What does an alpha male alert demand? Yeah, that's right, Slutty Milk. You know it.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein. Und das heißt Erika.
Every time going forward, every time we play an Erica, you guys know who it's for. We will be memorializing that beautiful family every single time. An Erica for Erica. That's right. God bless Erica Kirk and her children and Charlie watching us, keeping an eye out, praying for us. Pray for him. You spell it with a K, Mr. Sue. Spell it with a K. If you join the King Pill Discord, do you get kicked if you lapse a month? Yes, it's synced up. So if you lapse a month, it'll automatically kick you. At least it's supposed to. Yeah, please do come join. It has been popping in there for the last several days, and it's a great way. If you're getting doomed out by the doom scroll, then there's a great solution for you. Just join the King Pill Discord. The people in there, the posters in there, will keep you updated on everything you need to know, and even things you didn't know you needed to know. It's a phenomenal, like a distilled version of the timeline, reduced down, the things that matter the most, surrounded by a bunch of great people. And that reminds me, I'm going to mention it now. I can't promise exactly when it's going to happen. Most likely next month, but possibly the month after that, I am considering doing a King-Pilled meetup in Texas. Most likely would be in the Austin area, just because that's kind of central. But I know that we have a whole bunch of our
Welcome
guys.
to the Gulag. If you survive, you earn your freedom.
Welcome, Christian Contemplations, new member of the Gulag. Glad to have you here. So yeah, if you guys would be interested in a King-Pilled in-person meetup somewhere in the general Austin area, then let me know. Shoot me an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com. Shoot me a DM on Twitter @realkingpilled. And also, we are going to have a meetup in the Seattle area on the first weekend in October. I believe it's going to be, I need to go back and look at the schedule. I can't remember which day I'd settled on as most likely. It was either Friday night or Sunday night. I got to go double check. But if you're going to be in the greater Seattle area, or you want to be in the greater Seattle area,
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
I picked up a Mint Majesty tea from Starbucks this weekend. 2 honeys. 4 Charlie.
Patriot, Mr. Jonathan Hemingway. Thank you, my friend. My wife got one for me, and you know what? It's very good. It's really good. The guy had good taste. Did you guys get yours? Any of the rest of you do that? What dates for Texas? Don't know exactly yet. This is just kind of an idea that I had the last couple of days. I was like, you know what? We've got a whole bunch of Labians all in Texas. There's a whole bunch in Dallas that I know of. There's a bunch in Houston. There's a handful in Austin. I don't know if there's any that are in San Antonio. But most likely it will be in the Austin area. I need to nail it down. I'm thinking probably the third weekend in October is one possibility, or the second or third weekend in November would be another possibility. We're going up to Washington from September 29 to October 8, and
The
I'll
white
be up
man
there.
is back, baby! The white man is back!
It's over for me, guys. Overheard my mom and sister talking about how they were worried when I moved out because I wasn't as worldly as here. True loner Inkel Schizo energy.
Inkel Schizo! Inkel Schizo! Republican, it's never over for you, buddy. Never over for you. At the very least, you've got your fake internet friends. We're here for you, man. Keep your chin up. Not being as worldly as her is actually a great selling point. That's potentially a benefit, depending, I guess, on what you mean by worldly. But keep us in the loop, man. Stay close to us. Slutty Milk says he'll be in Austin the first weekend of October. He's visiting a buddy. Well, maybe you're going to go to Austin twice in October. But yeah, so stay tuned here. Go follow the King Pill Telegram channel. I'll as I nail down some exact times, I'll get you guys some more info on that. But just something that occurred to me that would be fun to do. But I've got to get up to Washington. Got to visit family. I'll be meeting up with some of you guys up there the first weekend in October, and then I'll be out of town the first weekend in November. So it'll either be in between those two, or it'll be after my trip in November, later in November. So, yeah, shoot me an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com, or a DM on Twitter @realkingpilled. If you're interested in joining either the Texas meetup or the Washington meetup. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to be saying publicly in the current environment. Maybe I'm a little paranoid, but in the current environment, I'm not going to be saying publicly where we are going to be meeting up. So you're not going to be able to just show up and crash it. If you want to be there, then please let me know in advance, and I'll tell you guys where it is. Okay, let's see. Any other housekeeping? Join the King Pill Discord, kingpill.com. As it's Damn It Jeremy said in the chat, join the fucking Discord. We'd love to have you in there. It's a great group of people, and the best group of people, they're saying. Some of the greatest patriots And we have a grand old time in there, and it's a really good support network. Really good place to be. There's the general chat. We do voice chat, schizo streams. Gonna do a schizo stream this weekend, probably this Friday night. I got to come up with the content for that, but we'll do another schizo stream in there. And there's a parenting thread, great for parenting advice. There's recipes. There's a pew pew thread. There's all kinds of different stuff. There's a conspiracy thread. There's a theology thread. There's a prayer request. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So please do come join us. Tikon says, I've never done a Discord. Well, then let this one be your first. You won't regret it. It'll be kind of interesting seeing what happens. This morning, a number of people said they asked if the Discord had been shut down, and it didn't show any issues for me. But apparently there's some funny business happening behind the scenes, very unsurprisingly. But it is still up there. Some people had a hard time getting into it, I guess, this morning. But as far as I know, it's still up there, and there is a Telegram group. If you join the King Pill Discord, you'll get access to the Telegram group, which we'll use as a backup in case something does happen to the Discord, to set up whatever new platform we will transition to. Jeremy says, I never cared much for Discord until I joined this Discord. Well, that's an honor, man. That's good to hear. Thank you, man. How about the queer King Pillars of Color chat? I want representation. Well, there are many... There are many gays in there. Extraordinarily gay. The gayest. They're called Canadians. We got some Leaf Bros. We got some Aussies in there. So you'll be right at home, friend. All right. So today, I've got some more Charlie clips. These are a couple others that I had. A couple of them were ones that were sent to me. A couple others that I wanted to make sure we got to, because part of this, to me, I want to keep playing these and highlighting them on a regular basis as a way of keeping. It's so easy for the news cycle to just move on and for him to quickly become a distant memory, and I don't want that to happen. So we're going to keep doing Charlie clips for the foreseeable future. There is a bottomless supply of them. The dude was astonishingly prolific. So I've picked out a couple good ones for that. Then I've got some people, some guys being inspired. We're seeing the Charlie Kirk effect. I've got Rush Limbaugh talking about the first time he met Charlie Kirk. I've got a noted podcaster and blogger sharing an email that he received from Charlie Kirk in October of 2012, 13 years ago. Then I've got a handful of other kind of funny things. I got some comments from RFK. Then we're gonna talk about Sam Hyde. Sam Hyde's monologue that he did, or I guess it wasn't a monologue strictly, but the episode that he did yesterday. A couple very good clips from that, and an edit. This edit from Sam Holden is dark. It's heavy, but it ends well, and it will take you on an emotional roller coaster, very much worth seeing, I believe. Then we're going to talk about the event of the day, the beautiful, wonderful, excellent event of the day. Mr. J.D. Vance, our vice president, our guy, hosting the Charlie Kirk show. Got a couple of clips here from our great Gigajew and some other Gigajew content that we'll get to, and then the what would you call it? The keynote, the zenith of the show today will be the closing monologue that J.D. Vance gave at the end of the show that he hosted. That is a watershed moment. That is where he creedmaxed. And if you haven't seen it yet, or you haven't heard clips from it, you may think that I'm saying something when I say creedmax. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying something else, something even more unlikely. Then we're going to talk a little bit about got some clips from Trump here and some of the moves that members of Congress are starting to make. And then talk a little bit about the black pillars. We got to dunk on the faggots every time we get the opportunity. And we're going to talk about the cancellation that's happening. Conservatives are pouncing. We're canceling. I've got a good monologue from Matt Walsh that was shared by Elon Musk talking about the difference. And then if we get time toward the back end here, I got to wrap up. I can't go too long tonight because my son has a what would you call it? Like a climbing dome, like a gymnastics sort of climbing dome thing that I need to get assembled. And I'm going to do that here tonight. So I don't want it to go too late. But I've already basically got tomorrow's show put together already. So I'm getting started later than I want tonight, but I'm suspecting that I'll be able to get started a little bit earlier tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not expecting, who knows what's going to happen. I got at least one errand to run tomorrow afternoon, but I don't think it's going to take very long. So I'm expecting that we'll be kicking the lab off a little bit earlier tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But if we do get time, if we get through everything else quickly enough, then there is a fascinating segment from Tucker Carlson's interview of Sam Altman. Have you guys seen this one yet? I think it would have made a lot more headlines if it didn't drop when it did. But it sort of flew under the radar. But it's quite shocking, stunning, surreal. It is Tucker Carlson pressing Sam Altman on his employee who officially committed suicide. Unofficially, it very much does not seem like he did. Yeah, Lux Imperius says it was pretty wild, actually, very revealing. Yes, extraordinarily revealing. We might have to get the bell out for this one. But yeah, so that's the layout of the show here today. Let us get started with some Charlie clips. Steven Voiceover says, I've been working on a Charlie tribute for work. This is my favorite clip. It's not a gotcha. He isn't owning anybody. It's just a decent, personable guy using his talents to try to get young people to think for themselves. He was good at it, and that's why they killed him.
First of all, thank you for coming up to the mic, and I want to try to win you over as a liberal for Donald Trump. So you're going to give me a chance, okay?
I will, sir.
All right, okay. That is a true open mind, so I appreciate that.
This dude's built. Sharp-looking dude, handsome guy. It's an atrocity that he would get pulled into the liberal brain rot world. But every time that most jacked liberal I've ever seen. Every time that I see one of these videos, I think about the person who is his interlocutor, and wondering where that person is today, what they're thinking today, having sat there face to face with him and talked with him, and the way that he dealt with them with compassion and sincerity. Where are they today? What sort of impact has that had on their lives? Like, I'm sure it probably made a bit of an impact on him when it happened, but now in retrospect, where are they at today? I wonder where this dude is.
Under Donald Trump, we had the border secure and it will stay secure. So those three things. We had a great economy under Trump, and it was easier for you guys to own homes. We had no wars, and you guys are closer to World War III than ever before. You guys that are all, by the way, military age, I hope you don't get into World War III, because you might be drafted under the current circumstance, and you guys might laugh. But think about who is endorsing Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney, Leon Panetta, Liz Cheney. These are the warmongers of 20 years ago that got us into these wars. So I am
bringing up Leon Panetta with that group of names is those are the sorts of things that if you followed Charlie for a little bit, if you kind of paid a little bit of attention to him, it would tip you off that this guy's not some shallow normie con, just talking generic conservative politics. He was in the trenches. He knew the deep lore.
I'm not fear-mongering here, guys. The people that got us into these failed wars, by the way, this is 9/11 today, and we remember what happened on 9/11, and then we remember our terrible reaction on 9/11 when we decided to invade Iraq and Afghanistan. Let us never do that again. Let us never invade sovereign countries.
Amen.
And I think you would sympathize with that.
I agree.
And this is why we're seeing Bobby Kennedy, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, people that are card-carrying Democrats, vote for Trump and voice support for Trump. Because what's happening at the Democrat Party is this very sinister combination. It's a party of censorship, it's a party of war, a party of open borders that is against actual traditional liberal values.
I agree.
So which way you leaning?
Can I get a hat?
That's a good answer.
Patriot.
Thanks, man. God bless.
Look at his shirt. Look at his shirt. His shirt says Patriot.
Thank you.
Oh man, Leon Panetta was the director of the CIA under Obama. He was a dyed in the wool. He was also he served in a role underneath Bill Clinton. I don't remember what it was, but he was the director of the CIA when they got Bin Laden. Now here's a couple of dating advice. This is advice for the ladies from Chuck Dirk. And you know, a couple of months ago, before his assassination, you might have scoffed at the idea of taking dating advice from Charlie Kirk. Now, in retrospect, you might take this kind of seriously.
Young men, you need to have a destination in your life. If you are on a date and a young lady says, well, what do you do? And you're like, it's I kind of meander, and I go on DraftKings, and I own crypto, and I don't know. And loser! Instead, it should be, I'm studying this because of this. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to work for this person. I want to be able to make this much money by this period of time to provide for a family, and I don't care how hard it gets, but I'll provide for you and provide for the kids, and I'll be the protector and the covering over the family. Follow me because I'm going to lead us. That's what they want to hear. They want the confidence and the security that when life gets difficult and when life starts falling apart, that man will lead them towards security and stability. Because deep down, women have a very well-built and finely tuned, God-given instinct that they'll be able to tell in a man when the bullets start firing, is this guy going to protect me and protect my kids? And is he going to provide, or is he going to run for the hills? Go look to your grandfather's generation that stormed Normandy Beach, that built this nation, that started big businesses, that went on adventure. If the most important thing for you is just feeling good, you're going to end up miserable. But if the most important thing is doing good, you will end up purposeful.
Let me play that one more time.
If the most important thing for you is just feeling good, you're going to end up miserable. But if the most important thing is doing good, you will end up purposeful.
That is a writer downer. That is a tattoo on the inside of your eyelids line. One more time.
If the most important thing for you is just feeling good, you're going to end up miserable. But if the most important thing is doing good, you will end up purposeful.
Chad Dirk indeed. Yeah, I can't hire you because I want to date you is good game. Charlie hit his Riz. Yeah, Charlie was the Riz master, man. And here's this one where he's cooking this poor man to his face.
Women want to be they want to be taken care of. I know this is super provocative, but deep down, they want a man to be able to provide for them financially.
Should a man pay on the first date?
100%. What kind of a wuss beta male is splitting the check? But who are you? It's I'm just sorry. It's I would go into debt and scrub dishes before a woman paid for it.
I split the check quite a lot.
So I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you. You guys are great. That's incomprehensible to me. I think that's
to me. I thought it was a great financial decision.
So from your prism, I totally get that, and you have really good financial discipline.
Notice the way he goes from he's dealing with abstract person. So he's like, what kind of wuss beta male would be like this? And the guy's like, well, actually, that's me. And he's like, okay, immediately down to earth. Let me connect with you. Okay, from your perspective, I can understand why you're thinking that way. Let me come up with a compliment for that. That's good financial discipline. Which is, it could be total bullshit. It's just a bullshit line. In retrospect, if you look at it, you might be kind of oh, he's being kind of patronizing or whatever. But in the moment, as a matter of persuasion, he immediately is like, okay, I'm not anti you. I'm coming alongside you. Let me put myself into your shoes, and I'm going to compliment you, come alongside you, and then pull you to my frame of view.
I'm sorry. I would be so humiliated.
I'm more with you.
I find that to be the greatest beta male humiliation.
To save money?
To the idea that a woman that you're trying.
I got to make sure I save money on my first date. Oh, the autism, man.
Trying to court Now, if it's like a friend thing or
as a first date, you don't even know if she's like
matter.
the qualities
it does
are worth.
not matter. I'm sorry.
By
the way, that money you save is not worth the honor that you compromise.
That money you save is not worth the honor you compromise. The dude was a bar factory, just spitting them out effortlessly.
Dude, it's such a big deal.
It's a massive deal.
Oh man, his legacy is going to live on. Here is the legacy of Charlie Kirk.
The more videos I see of Charlie, the more I realize he was basically a perfect example of what a young man should strive to be. And I think that's what they hate the most. He is someone who advocated everyone gets married young and has kids as soon as possible. He completely advocated for people to not participate in hookup culture. The last video I saw of him that inspired me to make this, he was saying, if you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to live the best life that you can possibly live, you can't do what everybody else does. You can't go to the bars every weekend, get blackout drunk every weekend, and hook up with a random stranger every weekend. That is so unfulfilling. And Charlie was literally a perfect representation, bro. He was a hard-working individual. He had a purpose that was bigger than himself. He fought for truth, and he fought evil. He advocated everyone had kids. And I think the thing that the system fears the most is people thinking for themselves, but not only thinking for themselves, but having children that also think for themselves. And I don't want to use Charlie's name for views whatsoever, but I feel so compelled to talk about this because I don't want his death to be for nothing. That is what scares me the most, because this is so insane. I can't believe that this is even happening. And I feel so convicted. I feel such weight on my heart to do my part and talk about Christ, because I think that's everything that he would have wanted, you know? And I think that it's the least I could do. You know, he literally risked his life to fight for truth and to speak about Jesus. And I think the absolute least that I can do is use my platform that God has blessed me with to share his word and try to get Jesus in the heart of as many people as possible, because I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner. I lived a very sinful life. But I've been so convicted, and I wouldn't want to have it. Ever since I've been convicted, my life's been entirely different, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Sure, I fall sometimes. It happens, and I accept that I'm not perfect, and I accept Jesus as my Father, and he forgives me. But I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I could go back to my life of sin and pleasure, and sure, it'd be fun, but nothing fills the hole in your heart like Jesus will.
No, Mr. Stu, that is not a Land Rover. That is a Maybach. This is a Zoomer kid in a Maybach. Kid's loaded. I mean, even if he's just renting a Maybach for his video, the kid's loaded. This is not like poor down and out dude that is struggling to get by being impacted by Charlie. This is I've never heard him. I don't know who he is. Some influencer has some platform, driving a frickin' Maybach. And he's being impacted like this by Charlie.
So if you want to win with me and fight, be a soldier of Christ, and a soldier of the light, just let Jesus in more, bro. Let him in. And speak with your chest. Have a family as soon as you possibly can.
Speak with your chest.
Abstain from lust as much as you possibly can. And fight for truth, bro.
The Maybach influencers are saying, speak with your chest, let Jesus in, abstain from lust. Man, when I made the prediction about Charlie being back in July, when I said Vance Dirk 2028, I was kind of like, I hope I'm not saying something that's going to wind up making me look like a goofball. Just saying something that's just totally silly, like no chance of it. And now in retrospect, seeing all the people who are connected and close to him who were like, oh yeah, he was going to be president. Like everyone who was around him knew it. Everyone knew that he was going to be president. It's very validating, but it also just feels like it just feels like a part of my heart got ripped out and it's not coming back. And I also got to say, speaking of predictions, that Mr. Jason Miranchuk was absolutely bang on with the neo-trads thing. Because you can see now where this is headed, where this is going. And I'm not saying this is a neutral thing or as a bad thing or a good thing. It just is a thing. That there is going to be a huge revival in Christianity. And a lot of it is going to be mush Christianity. And to many people, that's going to be intolerable. It's going to be like, oh my God, there's so much bad theology, yada, yada, yada. Yes, that's going to be there. That's going to be out there. But you know what it takes to get from atheism to devout Christianity? Sometimes you got to go through the mush Christianity. Sometimes that's the thing that gets you. Well, I'm sure we'll end up talking about this more and more going forward, but I think that this is going to be a pretext for a serious revival. And that revival is going to take that's going to take different forms. There's going to be legitimate revival. And then there's going to be like the hyper-emotionalized, like sensationalist revival. And then there's going to be people who are cynically using Christianity for their own purposes. And you can't let those things get to you. You can't be demoralized or upset by those things. Those are just going to happen. You're not gonna have a revival in Christian principles and Christian values without also having the people who are going to use it cynically. The fact that people are beginning to use it cynically is again, like when you see the grifters that are grifting on something, that's because they are the ones with the keenest noses for power. They're the ones who have the keenest nose for the cultural trend. So I'm not saying it's good that they cynically use Christianity for their own purposes. But I'm saying I'm taking like the meta perspective here that when they're doing that, that's a sign of the way that the cultural winds are blowing. New Mikey B on Twitter says, went to church for the first time ever this Sunday. Local Catholic mass, based African priest in my small Maine town. The wife and I are going back this week. God bless. God bless to you, man. Good for you. Many such cases, so many cases. Particularly the based African priest. You get some of the actual like African Catholic priests or Orthodox priests, they can be extraordinarily based. Tikon says, I've seen a lot of people with terrible theology live beautiful Christian lives. Exactly. Yes. Han Pritchard says, lax theology is preferable to lost souls and societal degradation. And I'm saying this as a Presbyterian. You know that means something if it's coming from a Presbyterian.
White man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Give me an Erika.
An Erica for EJ Satelli. Let's go.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein. Und das heißt Erika.
Thank you, my friend. Shout out to you. And just so you're aware, I want to make sure you're aware, that was a monthly tip that you set up. Monthly tip for $20. If you meant to set up the monthly tip, then thank you, man. Deeply appreciate it. If you didn't, feel free to cancel it. I just want to make sure. Spud Rocket says, my husband has not been very religious. He's a child of Christ, but has wandered from that. This affected him profoundly, and he started reading the Bible and praying with us, my daughter and me. I can't describe how this feels. Man, you know, it's really easy to say things like God works, all things work together for good for those who love and trust God, and you know that God works in mysterious ways and all those sorts of things. And it's easy to like say that and just kind of be aware of it, but then you see it happen in real time, the way that God draws beauty out of tragedy. And this is exactly what that is. This is exactly what that is. The great and horrifying tragedy of Charlie Kirk's murder is that thousands, millions are going to be saved because of it. Wonderful. Just beautiful, beautiful to see. Here's another guy. This one's been really making the rounds. I had probably half a dozen of you guys who sent this to me. The Charlie effect. This man has never owned a suit. He's never believed in God. He's going to church to wear it because of Charlie. He wants to be a better father, husband, and leader for his family.
You know, I don't come from any kind of money, and I've never owned a suit before. My wife, she bought me this suit. Our anniversary's coming up, and we have a nice anniversary plan. You know, we make a little bit of money now, and I'm proud to say that, because that's certainly not where either one of us comes from. And I feel good in this suit, man. And I just want my wife to know she made me feel good. It's a $300 suit. I ain't never had nothing like this before in my life. And I tell you what, okay, video flip here, so I'm gonna lose some of you. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm gonna wear this suit to church. I'm gonna go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that. My phone fell down. I guess that's the devil trying to fuck me up mess me up right now.
Video flip indeed.
Y'all. Look at this suit. I look good, bro. My wife made me feel this way. Charlie's made me feel this way. Yeah, message over.
What a patriot. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, man. T-Con says, God is cooking up a masterpiece and we're all ingredients in it. What a time. What a time. So keep this stuff in mind. Like, everyone... I've been thinking a lot and praying a lot about how to walk this line between the political and there isn't really a word, the religious, spiritual, theological, none of those quite hit just right, but I think you get what I mean. I've been trying to figure out how to walk this line between the two, because on the political side of things, there are absolutely things that must be done. There are dark forces that are proliferating throughout the land. And this isn't the last tragedy that we're going to be struck with. There's a lot of despair, anger, hatred, a lot of desperation. And there are hard things that need to be done. But don't lose sight of this stuff. This stuff is happening at the same time. When you want to doom out, when you want to black pill, when you're feeling, oh, they're not moving fast enough, they're not doing this thing, they're not doing that thing, the next bad thing that happens, there's going to be another bad thing that happens. And when that happens, invariably, part of the conversation is going to be, the only reason this is happening is because they didn't do X, Y, Z, and Charlie's death was all for naught. Those messages are going to come. That narrative is going to come. We're not suddenly totally just out of the dark and everything's all utopia and grand. No, we're never going to get that. We're never going to get to that point. That's never going to happen. But don't lose sight of these things. This stuff is as real, if not more real, than whatever political thing is happening. That's not to say the political things don't matter. They still do matter. They still are very important. We're going to talk about that for, honestly, a large majority of the show today. Those things do matter. Those are important. And we do have a civic duty to play our part and to participate in that world as well. But don't lose sight of these things. The great Rush Limbaugh, speaking for the first time he met Charlie Kirk.
There was a conference. What was it? Turning Point USA.
This clip is really quiet, so you guys are going to have to jack your volumes up. I will, the balance is rather stark here, so I'll give you guys a second, and I'll stop talking, and I'll just let it play through, and then I'll give it a second afterwards so I don't blow your ears out.
There was a conference. What was it? Turning Point USA. How many kids were there? And there 3,000 student activists here it was actually over at West Palm Beach. And this is a group that has been put together and operates under the auspices of Charlie Kirk, right? Who is you're going to be hearing that name if you haven't. He's an Charlie Kirk. Let me just tell you. I don't want to jinx him, but I'm just going to tell you. They brought Charlie Kirk to the golf course to meet me about a month ago. He was in town to set up this Turning Point thing, and they brought him to the golf course to meet me. It was we were getting ready for a 8:45 a.m. start, and they brought him out while I was getting ready to go to the range to loosen up. And I spoke with him for about a half hour, and he told me how he grew up in a home where my program was on all the time. He was just effusively complimentary to me, which I, of course, understood and told him he's very wise. His family's very wise. He chuckled. He laughed. This is the kind of guy that you can see really becoming big in politics as he gets older. He just has the carriage, the personality, the charisma. You may think this sounds weird, but I remember when Bill Clinton became president, there were all of these stories about Bill Clinton at Oxford and Bill Clinton at Yale and Bill Clinton here and all these people that went to school with him. There was story after story after story where people were saying that they just knew Bill Clinton was going to be president someday. In college, he just had that kind of ambition, and he impressed people. And I'm telling you that people are saying the same things about Charlie Kirk.
Never seen that clip before a couple days ago. Yeah, Charlie and Rush kicking it with the big man. What a call. What a call from that early. Mr. Tom Woods. The one email I received from Charlie Kirk when he was just 18, on the verge of 19, October 1, 2012, 13 years ago. Mr. Woods, your speeches on YouTube have inspired me to take action on a national stage. I'm 18 years old and a recent high school graduate. So often in high school, we're told what to think instead of how to think. For years, I felt subject to the system like a sheep getting ready for slaughter. Then my friend told me about your videos. I watched every single one and I read 2 of your books. Upon reading your work and watching you speak, I realized that freedom is the solution, not the problem. And our public school education system has done nothing more than perpetuate the problem and make it worse. Inspired by your words, I started an organization, Turning Point USA, which has skyrocketed to the national stage. The basis of our group is to educate our peers about the generational theft that is taking place in this country. I want to thank you for playing an important role in my life. I will continue to read your articles and watch your videos for inspiration. One day I hope to meet you and thank you in person. In liberty, Charlie Kirk. What? It's surreal. It's surreal to think that in October of 2012, just like me, Charlie Kirk was a young kid reading Tom Woods, watching Tom Woods videos, reading his books. That's about the time that I first encountered Tom Woods. It was somewhere in, actually might have been like 2010-ish, but 2010, 2012, somewhere in there, when I was in college. He was 5 years behind me, about 6 years, 5-6 years behind me. And he spent the next 13 years doing so much more than me. So much more than me. Absolutely put me to shame. Charlie Kirk is an American hero. Let's get some spaghetti American content here. I saw these videos and I was like, I can't not play these for the Labe. Behold the peak Italian male. Roman legionary phenotype, Mediterranean swagger, heavily tanned, wears a cross, bares his chest, expressive hand gestures, casually racist, smells like garlic, oozes testosterone.
Good afternoon, Charlie. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm studying abroad from Italy for this semester. Sorry? Yeah, from Roma. I've seen your videos online and I really respect what you are doing here. I have a question because in Europe we are facing the same problem with illegal immigration. And what are your stance on illegal families who came here many years ago and now are working and paying taxes in your country?
Every person who has come here illegally must be returned to their country of origin.
And
not sure that most people realize that Charlie was a illegal immigration absolutist.
And I completely agree with you. I'm here to say something. I really like the speech that J.D. Vance did in Munich after the terrorist attack.
Do we like J.D. Vance, everybody? Isn't J.D. great?
Well, I'm not American, but I like him too. If I were American, I would have voted for him. However, in Europe, we are having a big problem with illegal...
This is George Maloney's best guy right here.
Illegal immigration. People are coming, they don't respect our laws, they're raping women, stabbing. It's dangerous to go around. So I don't understand when people come here to talk to you, liberals and Democrats, saying that they want to welcome them, because you don't know who is entering in your country.
Amen. And I'll tell you, we need more legal immigrants like you in this country. I'll tell you what.
And it makes me upset that for me,
what did he mean by that?
Difficult. I'm respecting the law. I'm here if I have to be here legally, I'm going to go back to Italy because I cannot work, and it makes me upset seeing someone that comes here illegally and does whatever he wants. That's it.
God bless you. You want a hat?
If I can have a white one, because I already have
a white one, all right.
Red.
Make Italy great again, okay? Very good.
I wish.
A red. If I can have a white one, because I already have a red. Same guy. Lorenzo Caccialupi. Future king of Rome, taunting his enemies from the top of a mountain.
Good morning, I'm Lorenzo. 2 days ago, I published a video where I was expressing my condolences for Charlie Kirk. It was supposed to be a one-time video, but after I've received many threats and hateful messages, I realized something. I must continue to speak. You know, people who attacked me are the same people that attack anyone who dares to speak a different idea from theirs. They weaponize words, they try to intimidate, and they silence everyone who doesn't think like them. Charlie is an example. So let me make this clear. Glory to Charlie Kirk. His voice will not be silenced. Ciao.
Look at my spaghetti American. Absolute patriot. Big things are happening, folks. So here's RFK at the memorial, Charlie Kirk Memorial at the Kennedy Center. And broke a little bit of news. Now, maybe some of you guys may have heard this has gone around a little bit already, but I'm going to play the clip where he talks about the impact that Charlie had on bringing him into the fold with Trump. Because Charlie was not just... He wasn't just influencing the young people. He wasn't just doing the college stuff and all of that, getting out the vote and everything. The dude was a legitimate political operator. Remember when RFK endorsed Trump and then joined him on the stage, all the fireworks going off and everything? And people were talking like the Kennedy family uniting behind, putting the Kennedy name behind Donald Trump. That's when you have all these Democrats that are suddenly historic Democrats who are all coming out and supporting Trump. You had Elon and you had RFK and you had Tulsi and a whole long list of them. Charlie was the one who made that happen.
And over the next couple of years, our friendship blossomed He ended up being the primary architect of my unification with President Trump, which I did my endorsement at his rally, at the Turning Point rally in Scottsdale. And he was the one who put the sparklers on the stage when I shook it. He made a big show of it, but
Charlie was a showman. Spud Rocket says, imagine how hard Satan was working keeping Charlie Kirk under everyone's radar, but right in our faces. It's almost incomprehensible now.
And I had a conversation once with Charlie where we were talking about the danger that we both faced from challenging entrenched interests. And he asked me if I was scared to die. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those...
I wonder who laughed. That was kind of a funny reaction to that.
And chief among those is losing our constitutional rights and having our children raised in slavery. And I said to him at that time, I said, sometimes our only consolation is that we can die with our boots on. We can die fighting for these things.
Yeah, straight Buster, you took the words right out of my mouth. If there's anyone that knows about political assassinations, man, think about the and then Slutty Milk went right where I was going to go. RFK about to crack down on the Troon Industrial Complex for what they did. Like every single one of these major figures within the administration was closely personally acquainted with Charlie, knew him personally, loved him, adored him. Every single one of them has taken this personally. People made a big deal about how Trump was putting all these different people at the tops of these agencies who had been directly affected by that agency. Tulsi as DNI, RFK at HHS, Pete Hegseth at the now Department of War. Go down the list. Almost every single one of these people was put somewhere. Kash Patel at FBI. Almost every single one of these people was put somewhere because they have a vested personal interest in the corruption within that agency. And now every single one of them just got a massive, direct personal jolt, making it all the more personal for them.
Gave his life so that the rest of us would not have to suffer those fates worse than death. Now it's our job, he's no longer there to lead us, to rush in and fill the breach and win this battle for our country, for God, and for our families. Thank you all.
There is something about USA chants that just makes me chimp. Oh, just goosebumps. Oh. Okay, so if you guys haven't seen the Sam Hyde episode that he dropped yesterday, you got to go watch it. You got to go watch the whole thing. It seems trite to say it's powerful, but holy shit, it is powerful. So the next couple of clips that I'm going to play, next couple of videos that I'm going to play for you guys, steel yourselves. This is going to be, you got to knuckle down. This is going to be a bit of an emotional ride. This is going to hit you in the soul, but lock in, and it ends well, and then we're going to segue into some very, very good stuff. This first one, I strongly encourage you to take this video. Is it downloadable here? No, you didn't make it downloadable. You can find this video. It's all over the place. Take this video, Go to the link in the King Pilled Substack later, the one from Solianath that says, "This is you." You can screen capture it if you want. You can go find a downloadable version. You can go record it from YouTube, from the YouTube episode if you want. Take this clip and share it around. Because this is what the normies need to experience. Normally, I'm not like a big advocate of, we need to radicalize the normies. But in this particular case, the normies need to know precisely what it is that we're dealing with. They need to be on side for this. They need to break out of the sort of standard knee-jerk, like, let's be kind and have unity, and it's not fair, and to hurt people or whatever. They need to realize the stakes of where we're at right now. Aspiring Midwit says you can get the video, you can download it from @AspiringMidwit on X. There you go. @AspiringMidwit on X, and make sure you follow him while you're at it. This is you.
This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped, when your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol, that is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family, and these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate. This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently. And what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future of mankind. That's not hyperbole. That's just how it is.
I think it's the first time I've ever seen Sam getting emotional. I saw the video also of him when he posted when he first reacted to when they were recording when they first heard about it happening, and you can see him realize the weight of it, how significant it was. He knew it right away. These people are sick. My wife says, pray for these people. They've been lied to by demons and need our prayers. And that's exactly it. This is one of the hardest things that you are ever going to have to do, is pray for those people. Pray for repentance for them. That doesn't excuse them. That doesn't relieve them of the consequences. No, the consequences are necessary for them, not just for the rest of us. They need to experience the consequences. My pinned tweet right now is, say a prayer for repentance to every single person you submit to the charliesmurderers.com, which, by the way, they're changing up how they're doing things. Website's been down. It'll be up. Something else will be up soon. Stay tuned on that. But for every person that you submit, for every person you call to get fired, do get them fired. and say a prayer for repentance for them. These two things are not mutually exclusive. They need to bear the social consequences of their sin. Because hopefully, bearing the social consequences will be enough to bring them around so that they can actually confess their sin. They can actually repent, and they don't eternally bear those consequences.
Trump survived a bullet. He survived multiple bullets from an assassin. But Trump, by the grace, he turned his head. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
He turned his head like 10 degrees and avoided the lethal shot. He avoided the lethality of it. It got his ear. He avoided the lethality of the shot, much to the dismay to these fucking freaks on TikTok who think it would be a good thing somehow if the president were killed. In my opinion, that is a mandate from heaven. If you ever survive an assassin's bullet in that scenario, I would imagine that means something like you have been ordained by God to do God's work on the planet. You've been spared, and you've been spared in such a dramatic and improbable and miraculous fashion that you have a mandate from heaven to do God's work on earth. Now, is he talking about getting into heaven?
He has been talking about getting into heaven lately, apparently.
He has a mandate from heaven. And now what he has with this confluence of events is a sort of open runway to enact whatever policies he could imagine in his wildest dreams. He has a blank check to do whatever he wants, in my opinion.
And a limited time to do it.
And a very limited time to do it. I don't think that's an overstatement. I don't think that's crazy to say. Is that crazy to say?
No.
Valentine?
I suppose it would be a means in which it would make Charlie Kirk, it would make him not have died in vain.
That's also true.
Yeah.
This is a historical moment, and there's the charge is there, the critical mass is there to do historical shit in a way that it hasn't been since 2015. There hasn't been a moment like this, arguably at any point in Trump's presidency or in Biden's presidency, and I think this is going to define him. It's time for Trump and the people in his administration to get off their asses and do something.
Go watch the whole thing. The whole thing is very, very good. Now this one here, this one is heavy. But stick through it. Sam Holden says, "Dear friends, I made this video but felt the need to do some last-minute editing due to recent events. The edits were taxing. Not the work, but the content. Many tears were shed during the process. We need brotherhood more than ever. We celebrate during the summer months, but White Boy Summer remains throughout the year. You might even say it's eternal. Eternal White Boy Summer. Even on the coldest, darkest winter day, it remains. Pray for the nation. Pray for one another. Pray for me."
I sometimes think now that nowadays, when you look at certain things that go on in this country, one does tend to think, good God, what did I fight for? I thought we were fighting for a better world and a better country. But the way the country goes now sometimes, I wonder if we didn't waste our time a bit.
There's nothing special about being American. None of you can define for me what an American is.
I found a book there just published entitled The End of White Christian America. How do we react to that? How do we feel about that? And of course, there ought to be an end to white America. America ought to be a multiracial country where everyone is equal.
Tennessee horror. Muslim man Muhammad charged after raping unconscious woman to death in front of a church.
The core ideology of white nationalists, which is a euphemism for white supremacists, there are different types, but the core ideology is the belief in the imminent extinction of the white race because of a flood of non-white people and other people that they feel are degenerate, all orchestrated, puppeteered by Jews.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural.
Heard you want your country back. Shut the fuck up. Heard you want your country back. You can't have that.
And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role.
See that white picket fence, son?
Yeah, I see it, Dad.
That is the symbol of the American dream. The dream to achieve and have a fulfilling life.
There was a time I used to look into my father's eyes. In a happy home, I was a king, I had a golden throne. And those days are gone, now the memories on the wall. I hear the songs from the places where I was born. Upon a hill across the blue lake, that's where I had my first heartbreak. I still remember how it all changed. My father said, don't you worry, child. See, heaven's got a plan for you. Don't you worry now.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
Guided by a beating heart, I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Well, life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes, so that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. Didn't know I was lost.
There is a God who created you and loves you. And White Boy Summer is eternal. Oh, I love our people, man. That was heavy, but it was worth it, I think.
White man is back, baby! The white man is back!
At this point, I think even some of the more moderate Democrats will support Trump's reforms against the far left because they view the far left as their greatest electoral liability.
That's from Politically Catholic. And yeah, I do think so. I think that there's still There's still some time that they need to come along. It seems as if they're probably pretty quiet at the moment, I would imagine. I haven't seen a lot from them, but I hate to say this. I really hate to put this out there, but my suspicion is that the big flood toward MAGA, toward backing Trump's reforms, is going to come after the next one. Whatever the next one is. We had one, and I'm talking in the minds of most people. We had one. We had the attempts on Trump. We had two. Charlie's assassination. And I fear that it's going to take a third one for that to happen. But I also don't think that that's going to be a hurdle. I don't think it's going to... I think so much of put it this way. If there was an election today, Trump or JD would win in a absolutely monumental landslide. Would not even be close. The average person is done. They're fed up. And it isn't possible now for a Democratic candidate to run for office against their lunatics. They would be destroyed. They would be absolutely flamed by their own loudest minority. They have nothing to run to. They have nothing to run toward. They are fully into outer party status, which is one thing that I think people need to keep in mind. When you get the sense to doom, or you're like, oh, well, the Democrats, when they come back into power in 2028 or in 2026 or whatever, like you are so out of touch with the zeitgeist if you think that that's going to happen. It's not going to happen. And this isn't to say rest on your laurels, don't worry, it's all taken care of now. But they have nothing to run on. They have no platform. They have no coordination. They have a bunch of talking heads that are very loud. But that loudness is making up for hollowness. There's a subset of the population that is never, ever going to leave. Your single issue voters, your down ticket, your like single party voters, down ticket, don't pay any attention, anything. There's a large, and that subset of the population is substantial in absolute numbers. We're talking tens of millions of people. A presidential election that was held today could put, Charles Manson as the Democratic candidate, and he would get tens of millions of votes. It doesn't, like, you can't look at those things as like, oh, they've got lots of power. They have no money. They have no issues. They have no candidates. And now their brand is being permanently associated with the people who do political assassinations. And not just the people who do political assassinations, but the most degenerate, twisted, bizarre, anti-human types. That's what the Democrat Party brand is being permanently associated with. And what funding mechanisms they do have are about to be bum rushed. Wanted to make sure I got this one in here before we talk about the J.D. Vance's appearance or his hosting of the Charlie Kirk Show today. Bumbadum said, J.D. Vance of the Charlie Kirk Show. Charlie was opposed to the strikes in Iran. Charlie would ask why the deportation numbers weren't higher. He was really our guy. And John Doyle, the Patriot.
The only acceptable political theory is complete undying loyalty to Donald Trump.
Said everyone knew this behind the scenes, which is why it was so funny when people would attack Charlie like he wasn't our guy, because it was just signaling how far out of the loop they really are. And at this point now, anybody who is counter-signaling Trump, JD, anyone in the administration, Charlie Kirk, any of them, is either bad faith or low information. Those are the only options. If we're being gracious, they're low information. If we're not, they're bad faith. That's it. There is no third option. So the first person who JD, I would encourage you to go watch the whole thing. JD's opening monologue was very good. It had the waterworks going for me again. And then the first guest that he brought on was Judolf Yidler himself, our great and mighty Giga Jew.
He was. And so before I talk...
Oops. Sorry, I won't play that on 2X for you guys.
He was. And so before I talk to you about what we're doing to try to prevent something like this from happening again, maybe you could just talk about why you love Charlie, what memories you have of him, something that would give our audience a sense of what he was behind the microphone.
Yeah. I've known Charlie for 10 years. He was a treasured friend. And, you know, this is going to sound, he made you believe more in yourself, is the best way I could put that.
That's right.
He was your biggest cheerleader. He would, if I was working on a hard project, an important executive order, a major new initiative, he would give me the strength and the focus to get it done.
That's right.
He was everybody's supporter, enthusiast, cheerleader, promoter. He made all of us better every single day. You know, the memory that I keep turning to is not a single memory. It's a period of a couple months after we won the election. And Charlie was in the campaign or the transition office every single day. And from dawn till dusk, volunteering his time to get into the weeds, the nitty-gritty of government. And he was so damn excited. I mean, it really hurts to think about it right now. He was so excited about all of us being here. And we would be talking about every executive order, every new regulation, every new policy plan. It was such a thrill for me to get to spend a few months of my life, because, you know, he came from the nonprofit, the activist world. I came from the government world. And in this transition, to be able to work hand in hand, take all of his ideas from being the leader of TPUSA, spending time with college students, spending time with activists, and then be able to be with us at the transition to plan out the next step of our government, that was an experience for which I will always be grateful. And the last thing I'll say is that, to my earlier point, Charlie would send me messages all the time, just saying, you know, great work, or here's a new idea, or here's what I think will take this to the next level. And I took them all to heart. And God, I just love the man so much.
He was our biggest supporter, yeah. Stephen, but he was also, if he disagreed, he would figure out how to get us to get where he wanted us to go.
Yes.
Always such a big cheerleader. Absolutely right. The darkest moments of my life, it was Charlie who was on the phone saying, don't let him get to you. Keep on fighting. Keep on going. You're absolutely right. So I want to be mindful of time here. A lot of people are very worried about how we got here in the first place. And you have the crazies on the far left who are saying, oh, Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, they're going to go after constitutionally protected speech. No, we're going to go after the NGO network that foments, facilitates, and engages in violence.
Okay, so that last part, yeah, there was some weird echo issues early on, because I think they were having, my guess is they probably had a boom mic in there, and then they also had the guys wearing a lapel, and then JD had his mic, and they were having some issues getting it sorted out at first. It got better as they went on. But I want to highlight something here that Han Pritchard said. He said, oh, come on. The zeitgeist is certainly favoring us online, but if anything, the normies in real life were more spooked by the perceived chaos of the admin than leftoid violence. Most I have talked to still believe the both sides bullshit. And this is a good point, because all the people who are like, we want to see him declare martial law and crack down and start executing libs in the streets and all that sort of thing. This is the only thing. They have to do this or it's all over and we're all dead and the country's gone. The administration has to walk a very, very fine line here, because they need a ruthless crackdown on this, and yet they can't scare the hoes, because the hoes are real scarable. And the hoes have been indoctrinated for generations to see leftoid violence as normal, like fighting back against the powers that be. And 1984 is recommended reading by fucking Gavin Newsom now. It's that deeply embedded in people's minds. So the administration can't come out total like scorching, guns blazing, hanging people in the streets, or they're going to scare the hose. They have to walk this line very carefully. And if you, agitated, anxious internet poster, is chimping about that, saying that that's the only thing that's acceptable, you are demanding that the administration nullify itself. You're demanding that the administration destroy itself. It is, I can't tell you how encouraging it is to me, and I got a couple of tips that came in here. Let me get to those in just a second here. I can't say how encouraging it is to me to see how they have managed this so far. They didn't lash out and do something really emotional right away. But they've also now made it very, very clear what is coming. And given the fact that they're still effectively within, we've got our guys at the top, and we've got a lot of our guys in various places throughout, but it's still loaded down with subversives. The administration, the DOJ, the FBI, all the different agencies are still loaded down with subversives, which is going to inhibit anything that they try to do. That's something that has to be considered as they try to navigate this and as they go through the various different strategies that they can undertake, which makes it all the more significant that one of the first things that they did was greenlight the purge. Immediately going after anybody, using this as an opportunity to identify the people who have raised their hands and called themselves out as traitors, as subversives. They're getting lopped off immediately with no advance notice. All of these people have no OPSEC. They've spent basically their entire lives online being free to post the most insane shit ever. Stuff that would get us a knock on the door in 5 minutes. They're just wildly Fed posting under their own names because they've never had to worry about it. They're literally using their legal name to call for the most insane types of violence. So the administration is actively purging. They're capitalizing on this opportunity, first and foremost, to purge as many traitors who've raised their hands as possible. And I'll remind you again that government time is not social media time. So you, who's extremely online, who have been at this, have been wallowing in this for every single moment of every single day for years now, and whose screen time on X has been at 19 and a half hours a day since Wednesday, you may be tired, you may be antsy, you may be feeling like, oh, they're not doing anything. But government time moves slowly. And in this case, this is a feature, not a bug. We don't want random chaotic lashing out. We want the anaconda. We want the slow, comprehensive strangling. Crush the life out of them slowly. Ensure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And don't scare the hose. Okay, a couple of tips here real quick.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Is it too soon to start referring to J.D. Vance by his new pronouns, His Grace, Your Grace, His Majesty, Your Majesty?
Politically Catholic. No, not yet. Not yet. Just because that takes too much glory away from the big boss. The big boss is still here. The big boss is going to be here for a while, so we got to wait. We got to hold that thought. Twos McGee says, like Scott Adams says, it's the fact that they thought they could say this without losing their jobs, societal opportunities, etc. The worst part is they thought everyone would agree. Yes. Yes. Slutty Milk says, impatient, write all your government officials to chimp at them benevolently to do something about the terrorist orgs. Try to get a lib fired. Help out. Yes, more on that very soon. And we have another alpha male alert.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
A few teal bucks for the most notable of POS dares.
That's funny. Thank you, Duffhead. Thank you, my friend. It got teal bucks exactly right, but it doesn't know how to say posters. POS dares. Yes, I had a tweet about JD Vance earlier that has gotten a little bit of traction, and Blake Masters himself retweeted it. And as just to make sure that I didn't get too much of a high from seeing the notification of Blake Masters retweeting it, immediately after that, Richard Hanania quote tweeted it. So keeping me humble. Thank you guys for the tips. Okay, so let me play this last little bit of this clip here, and then we'll go to another one.
Of time here, a lot of people are very worried about how we got here in the first place. And you have the crazies on the far left who are saying, oh, Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, they're going to go after constitutionally protected speech. No.
Isn't that an interesting thing that he said? So he says all the crazies on the far left, they're like, oh, Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance. Interesting. Thinking about it the way he's thinking about this, obviously there's something happening between Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, and they're the ones who are being perceived from the outside as they're the hard hitters. But notice the way that he frames this. He frames this as all crazy people over there. They're like, oh, J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller are going to take away our constitutionally protected rights. He's like, only insane people would think that. No, we're not going to do anything completely absurd and unrealistic like that.
They're saying, oh, Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, they're going to go after constitutionally protected speech. No. We're going to go after the NGO network that foments, facilitates, and engages in violence.
So we're not going to go after the fruits. We're going to go after the roots. All of the people who are engaging in all this violence, they're only doing that because they've got massive cultural cover and financing.
Welcome to the Gulag. If you survive, you earn your freedom.
Thank you, Tuz McGee, who's gifted 5 subs. 1 to Florida Girl, 14, 1 to Superior B, 1 to Mathers 07, 1 to Emperor Atreides 49, and 1 to Lux Imperii. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this might be Lux Imperii's first stream. Just followed the channel an hour ago. Look at you, man, showing up and getting a gifted sub right away. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the gifts. And reminder that if you'd like to continue supporting when it comes up next month, make sure that you renew your sub. It's much better than a YouTube membership because a YouTube channel membership, at least 30% of it is taken by YouTube. Kick only takes 5% of the cut. So, much, much better. Thank you, guys. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So, they're going straight to the root. All of these people that, like, ultimately, all of the radicals, the hitters that are out on the streets, that are in the mobs and everything, they're literally being paid a salary. I was talking to a friend of mine who has been involved in, let's say, enforcement and protection operations on the streets in the Pacific Northwest. And he said they've been learning what the actual ranks are within Antifa. There's different guys with different roles. There's like your lowest level person, and they're getting paid like $2,000 a month to just go out and just wreak havoc and riot and stuff. And then you have like your medics. Medics are making like $4,000 a month, and then you have your like lieutenants that are making like $6,000 a month. They're literally being paid salaries to go out in the streets and riot and attack ICE and loot buildings and burn down gas stations and all that sort of thing. They're being paid a salary to do that. And two of the Democrat Party congresspeople that I've heard confirmation on who are involved in that funding are Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, and Maxine Waters. We have sitting members of Congress who are financing domestic terrorism. And they're the funneling mechanism for the actual billionaires. This is what they're going after. They're going straight to the root of it. They could spend they could spend 10 presidential terms trying to chase down all the little people on the street. That's going to take a tremendous amount of personnel to do. And it takes time to get that personnel in and get them scaled up and get the funding for them. That's the slow way of doing it. It's kind of like mass deportations versus creating a culture of deportations to incentivize major self-deportations. Instead of going after the people on the streets and trying to round up all of the trannies and stuff, they're going straight to the people who are funding it. Cut off the money flow and isolate those people. And then you're not going to have any choice but to wait for them to pop up. And you hope that when they pop up, obviously, they do as little damage as possible. But this is a fact of major law enforcement activities like this. You could preemptively get some people, but in many cases, you just have to wait for people to identify themselves. And especially when you have a personnel issue. Trying to wrangle together like a big old giant RICO case like this, when you're dealing with obstructionists and subversives, who are all the more so now going to try to hide their power levels more in the reverse direction, you have to be ridiculously thorough. They don't have the personnel or the political capital yet to do the big, giant, massive show of force purge. I've seen people comparing it to like Biden with the J6ers and stuff. It's not the same thing at all. When they showed up with a huge show of force and started grabbing J6ers in their underpants at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's because the entire system was fully bought in. There was zero obstruction to it whatsoever. Now they've been at this with this administration for like 7 or 8 months, and they've made a major dent in it, as is evidenced by the levels of success that they've been having. But they're still dealing with a tremendous amount of obstruction and within the DOJ, within the FBI, within DHS. I'm sure DHS is probably one of the best at this point. But I mean, there's insane shit that's being posted by military people. I saw one that was it's like a major posting wild shit. So they still have to do a tremendous amount of cleaning out the ranks. And if you think about it, like, okay, so you have to have people who are dedicated to cleaning out the ranks. So that's a personnel draw. You have to have people who are dedicated to ordinary military operations. You have to have people who are dedicated to deportation efforts. You have to have people who are dedicated to deportation hearings. You have to have people who are dedicated to protecting the deportation efforts. There's simply a personnel shortfall right now. So they have to do the best with what they have right now. Which means if you are antsy and you haven't been applying to work for the DOJ or the FBI or DHS or ICE, I don't want to fucking hear it. There's a lot that you can do now that's going to be way more productive than posting doom porn on Twitter. On that note,
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Blackpilling is treason. We are going to make it. Get off the bench and take action.
Hell yes, Rothgar. Thank you, man, for the tip. That's exactly right. Blackpilling is treason. Optimism is mandatory. This, very good advice here from Mr. Gigajew.
Walk me through, at a high level, like what you and I have been working on, what the whole administration has been working on to try to make sure that we don't reward and promote this craziness.
So first of all, I'll just point out what we've been working on So this is an initiative they've been undertaking that Vance and Miller particularly have been working on together. He mentions them specifically, and this is following on from his comment a minute ago, which was people on the outside are like, oh, Vance and Miller are going to take everyone's constitutional rights away. So these are little things that he's saying because there's an existing narrative running like that he's aware of because he and Miller are actually working on stuff together.
Yes, so it's an excellent question. I said this before, but it bears repeating. The last message that Charlie sent me was, I think it was just the day before we lost him, which is that we need to have an organized strategy to go after the left-wing organizations that are promoting violence in this country. And I will write those words onto my heart and I will carry them out. The people ask me, what emotions I'm feeling.
I'll write those words onto my heart. The Giga Jew has a way with words, man. It's that high verbal IQ. Our favorite word cell.
Right now, this is something people say. I mean, you kind of know the answer. There's incredible sadness, but there's incredible anger. And the thing about anger is that unfocused anger or blind rage is not a productive emotion.
Right.
The most Stephen Miller thing you could possibly say. Blind rage is not a productive emotion. This is autism in its natural environment. This is peak integrated autism. He's like, I'm angry, and all of that rage is getting suppressed and focused, funneled directly into, we are going to fucking kill you. His wife tweeted this out. She said, Stephen to me about 15 times a day. Blind rage is not a productive emotion. He's an alchemist. He turns rage into deportations. Says Trust Plan Sar. The man is locked in. And I just love this image of him talking his wife down. Like his wife, she's all like sweet and everything. She has her little podcast that she's doing. And I'm just imagining her just like fuming angry. And he's just flat affect. He's like, Katie, blind rage is not a productive emotion. He's her pillar. He is her rigid, erect man who she can lean on whenever she needs him.
But focused anger, righteous anger, directed for a just cause is one of the most important agents of change in human history.
Focused anger, righteous anger, directed at a just cause is one of the, what did he say?
Directed for a just cause is one of the most important agents of change in human history.
One of the most important agents of change in human history. Look at that face. Imagine being a lib right now. Do you have any idea what's coming for you? You retarded leftoids. You killed his friend. He is going to take bodies. Kind of looks like Jonathan Greenblatt there, honestly. I'm so glad he's on our side. Oh, come on. Now it won't zoom back out again. There we go.
Probably showed that. Amen.
And we are going to channel all of the anger that we have over the organized campaign that led to this assassination to uproot and dismantle these terrorist networks. So let me explain a little bit what that means. So,
Got 30 seconds, so be quick, Stephen.
The organized doxing campaigns, the organized riots, the organized street violence, the organized campaigns of dehumanization, vilification, posting people's addresses, combining that with messaging that's designed to trigger and incite violence, and the actual organized cells that carry out and facilitate the violence, it is a vast domestic terror movement. And with God as my witness...
Vast domestic terror movement. And wait for this next part.
Out and facilitate the violence, it is a vast domestic terror movement. And with God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name, with God as my witness. This is, we are going to fucking kill you. Come to life. The Giga Jew is marching. Whoa, what the hell?
White man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Even our saints say no fucking blackpilling despair is worse than anything, and it is blasphemy against God, as if God were incapable of saving us, as if the scale of our sins could transcend the measure of divine compassion. Sankt Silouan the Atonite.
Saint Silouan the Athonite. Thank you, Ian Carroll. Banger tip. Despair is worse than anything. And it is blasphemy against God. As if God were incapable of saving us. As if the scale of our sins could transcend the measure of divine compassion. Beautiful. Thank you, man. And a brief musical interlude. Stephen Miller. So I'm going to butcher this probably. Set to Wagner's Rancy Overture.
And let me tell you something I've not shared with anybody. But the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile. Because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.
We will not live in fear. You will live in exile. Never has there been a greater word cell than our great Giga Jew. He said, when you vote for a candidate, you are voting not just for a person, but for an entire organization, a vast structure that is employed below, beneath, above, and around them. So when you vote to elect any Democrat, you are putting to work an entire governing system. Criminal justice advocates who will work relentlessly to keep monsters out of prison. Officials charged with public safety who will instead zealously dismantle it. Immigration lawyers and activists who will work tirelessly to deluge your city with migrants and refugees. Educators who will indoctrinate your children to hate themselves and their heritage. Bureaucrats who are true-believing Marxist radicals running the machinery of government. DEI zealots to enforce their agenda at every agency and every business they can extort. Regulators to extract the last drop of productivity out of the economy to enrich leftist NGOs, leftist lawyers and leftist community organizers, and a government staffed at every level by those who lack the skill or vision to build anything, but relish the opportunity to unravel everything that makes society beautiful, sacred, and whole. If you could distill the essence of the determination that flows through the blood of Stephen Miller, you could power an entire country. You've seen the vigor with which he has pursued the cause of deportations. Now that vigor is directed at the larger issue of the destruction of the Democrat Party. He will not rest until the Democrat Party is in ashes. And every billionaire who ever gave a cent to it is in stocks. With God as his witness, he will avenge his friend, Charlie Kirk. I watched live as he was on the show there with JD. And then as soon as it finished, within 90 seconds of him leaving, literally during the commercial break, after he walked away, I got a notification. Because I have notifications on for my Gigajew, because I'm a patriot. If you don't have notifications on for your Gigajew, I don't know if you could call yourself a patriot. I had notifications on for him. I got a notification. I looked at it. Stephen Miller finished the interview with JD on the Charlie Kirk show and immediately got back to work retweeting tweets about criminal aliens. The man never rests. He retweeted this from the Homeland Security. This vile monster beheaded a man in front of his wife and child and proceeded to kick the victim's head on the ground. This gruesome, savage slaying of a victim at a motel by Star Wars name was completely preventable if this criminal illegal alien was not released into the country, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that's right. That's right. There was a criminal illegal alien released back into the country, and he literally beheaded a man and kicked his head around like a soccer ball. This is the Democrat Party. This is what they stand for. These are the horrors that they intentionally inflicted upon America. And every single person with a D next to their name is culpable for it. You're never going to catch Stephen Miller slacking. Now, before we get to the main event, before we get to J.D. Vance and his closing monologue, here's this bit from, his name is Andrew Colvett. He's one of the leaders at TPUSA, and the audio on this one is kind of rough, but there's a good story here that he tells about Charlie and his legacy.
To put things in perspective, there are, I guess, currently 900 official chapters of Turning Point on college campuses. And that's, when you get at about 900, 920, give or take, kids graduate, you got to kind of rebuild a few chapters. That's about what you're going to get to. And we have 1,200 high school chapters, which was our big new initiative. And we were really proud when the high school chapters eclipsed the college chapters, because we were known as the college. And so there's about 23,000 high schools in America, 24,000. And I'll never forget this. This is a really funny moment a couple weeks ago in Aspen. And Charlie was like, we are going to have a Club America, which is the high school brand, on all 23,000. He didn't know the number. This is actually part of the story. We're going to have it on every high school campus in America. And the team is going, oh my gosh. And Charlie goes, we're going to have 35,000 high school chapters. And, he just threw out this big, stretch goal, and we're like, oh, Charlie, and the whole team's freaking out because that's a huge lift. And he goes, they have to be on every single high school campus. And then I'm sitting next to him, I look at it, and I Google it, and it was like, there's 23,000 high schools in America, Charlie. He goes, oh, okay, 23,000, we're going to be on every single one. And then the team got him eventually to say, well, okay, the big stretch goal is 10,000. And it was amazing because now I tweeted out, and it's I don't know, it's like 10 million views or something. I think it made people feel good because we now have 37,000 applications to start chapters around the country. And, it almost brings a tear to your eye because that moment is like, we all remember, the whole team, we were all in a ballroom going through a presentation together, and he was adamant, we are going to be on every high school in America. And he's going to be proven right.
37,000 applications. His legacy lives on. And that's another thing. If you are part of a school, in a school, have kids in school, then you too can get involved in that. Ensure that there is a TPUSA chapter everywhere. Yeah, some schools will need two. Go work for TPUSA. I'll bet you they're going to need to. I bet you they're going to be hiring for sure. And there's going to be massive, massive battles over the spirit and the mission of TPUSA. There's going to be subversives who want to try to wrangle it away from Charlie's goals. Go support Erica. And now, the main event. The single best political speech I think I've heard in my life from J.D. Vance. As I sat and watched this live earlier, I was just thinking to myself that I could have never imagined a year and a half ago when we first started talking about him as the likely choice for vice president. I could have never imagined that a year and a half later, I would be sitting and listening to him deliver a speech like this. The sitting vice president, he went out of his way for his friend to host this episode, to host this show, to ensure that the mission of TPUSA was not lost, to permanently intertwine the Vance administration with Charlie Kirk and TPUSA. And he had a message to deliver. He was making, he needed to make it very clear what the administration's position on all of this was. Where they were coming from, where they were going. And I think he made it clear.
Shortly after Usha and I left Charlie's family and Charlie's remains in Arizona, I read a story in The Nation magazine about my dear...
Oh, yes. Note the chyron on the bottom. It was there the entire time. Not J.D. Vance, vice president. J.D. Vance, longtime friend of Charlie Kirk.
Friend Charlie Kirk. Now, The Nation isn't a fringe blog. It's a well-funded, well-respected magazine whose publishing history goes back to the American Civil War. George Soros's Open Society Foundation funds this magazine, as does the Ford Foundation and many other wealthy titans of the American progressive movement.
So after the Stephen Miller bit was good. That came out firing. And then they had the other three guys. I can't remember their names. Taylor Budowich and Kieran Dorr, I believe is his name. And then the other guy, his name escapes me now. Forgive me. They had Caroline Leavitt. At Susie Wiles, they had RFK and they had Tucker. Now the Tucker one was short, but it was a little spicy, and I think we'll talk a little bit about that more tomorrow. But it was kind of like, okay, this is, it's heartwarming. This is good. This is like, there was some little bit of venom with the Gigajou. I can't remember names. Stephen Miller. All I can think of is Gigajou. And there was a little bit of venom with that, and then it was just kind of, it was just heartwarming. It was just like a great legacy. And so I was kind of wondering what his closing monologue was going to be. And 30 seconds in, I'm like, okay, we're talking Open Society Foundation and Ford Foundation. I see where this is going.
The writer accuses Charlie of saying, and I quote, "Black women do not have brain processing power to be taken seriously. But if you go and watch the clip, the very clip she links to, you realize he never said anything like that. He never uttered those words.
He's pissed.
He made an argument against affirmative action as a policy. He criticized a specific Supreme Court justice as an individual. He never said anything about black women as a group. He made an argument for judging people of all races and backgrounds by their own individual merits. The very evidence she provides, this hack of a writer, shows that she lied about a dead man, and yet she wrote it. An esteemed magazine published it. It made it through the editors, and of course, liberal billionaires rewarded that attack. Now, of course, even if Charlie had uttered those words, it wouldn't mean that he deserved his fate. But consider the level of propaganda at work. Charlie was gunned down in broad daylight, and well-funded institutions of the left lied about what he said so as to justify his murder.
He's talking about his friend. My friend was gunned down in broad daylight. Me, the Vice President of the United States, my close personal friend, was murdered, and you lied about it to justify it.
This is soulless and evil. But I was struck not just by the dishonesty of this smear, but by the glee over a young husband's and young father's death. Quote, she says, he was an unrepentant racist, transphobe, homophobe, and misogynist. The Nation wrote, who often wrapped his bigotry in Bible verses because there was no other way to pretend that it was morally correct. He had children, as do many vile people. That's what they said. He had children.
He had children, as do many vile people. That's a veiled threat to kill his children. That's what that is. That's exactly what that is, and this bitch knows exactly what she's doing. That's a call to action.
As do many vile people. Now, hours before this smear was published, my wife and I had the honor of escorting Charlie's body back to his home in Arizona. We took his wife, Erica, we love you, his parents, his sister, and a few of his best friends with us. And as they offloaded Charlie's casket from Air Force Two, I worried that Erica would collapse with grief. Now, I am a very lucky husband to a very wonderful wife, but I have never been prouder of my wife than that moment as she held Erica in Erica's very darkest hour. And I thought of Erica as I read that disgusting attack on Charlie. He had children, as do many vile people. That's what they said about him. I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice. Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell her children that their father had been murdered. She asked my wife how to tell her beautiful kids that their father and my dear, very dear friend is no longer with us.
By the way, I will not stand for Usha Vance criticism. Get all the fuck the way out of my mentions with that. Instant ban. You absolute ghouls. My tweet today that's been going crazy about Vance, I have blocked probably 200 people so far. You absolute fucking ghouls. You're not American. I fully endorse your disenfranchisement and deportation if you have shit to say about Usha Vance.
And as she was doing it, there were people dancing on that father's grave. Now, I have heard many calls in the last few days for unity and for healing in the wake of Charlie's assassination. You have no idea how desperately I want that, how gratified I was when Democratic friends and even former Senate colleagues reached out to offer their condolences to me. I'm so thankful. And I know there are so many like them all across our great country.
He's powering up. This is the response. Everyone's saying, unity, unity, love and peace. Please, please, let's just have unity now. Yes. Yes, I would love to have unity. I so desperately want to have unity. But, and here's the but,
I am desperate to wrap my arms around them as we all unite to condemn political violence and the ideas that cause it. Psalm 133 tells us, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head. Oh, how badly have I craved that precious ointment in recent days, and I believe we can have it.
So we've got the Lord's Prayer, and we've got quoting from the Psalms. And you can hear his voice. Yes, he's powering up.
But first, we must tell the truth.
We can have unity. Yes, your calls for unity? Yes, we will have unity. But only after we tell the truth. Tell the truth about what, you might ask? My vice president will continue.
It's the only way to honor Charlie, for what was he, if not a man who told the truth in every place, in every environment? Now, the most important truth Charlie told is this, that long ago a man, begotten, not made, came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary and became man. For our sake, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate and suffered death and was buried and rose again on the third day. Charlie believed, as I do, that all the truth he told flowed from that fundamental principle.
The vice president is citing from the Nicene Creed and righteous anger over the death of his friend, the murder of his friend. I had no idea I could vote for this.
I really do believe that we can come together in this country. I believe we must. But unity, real unity, can be found only after climbing the mountain of truth.
That's a bar. Unity, real unity, can only be had after climbing the mountain of truth.
And there are difficult truths we must confront in our country. One truth is that 24% of self-described, quote, very liberals believe it is acceptable to be happy about the death of a political opponent, while only 3% of self-described very conservatives agree. 3% is too many, of course. Another truth is that 26% of young liberals believe political violence is sometimes justified, and only 7% of young conservatives say the same. Again, too high a number.
You want some truth? Here's some truth. Your side, you, the people demanding unity, your side are the ones fomenting and justifying political violence. Get the fuck out of here with your demands for unity. What we can unite around is your side is the problem, and you need to kick out, abandon, throw under the bus every single one of your radicals. This is comprehensive BTFOing of all of the both sides bullshit. We got it first from Trump. Now we've gotten it in no uncertain terms from Vance. And he's still just getting started.
In a country of 330 million people, you can, of course, find one person of a given political persuasion justifying this or that or almost anything. But the data is clear. People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. This is not a both sides problem. If both sides have a problem, one side has a much bigger and malignant problem, and that is the truth we must be told.
Straight up says it explicitly. This is not a both sides problem. Again, this is not a pundit. This isn't Matt Walsh. This is the vice president speaking directly for the administration.
That problem has terrible consequences. The leader of our party, Donald J. Trump, escaped an assassin's bullet by less than an inch. Our House Majority Leader, Stephen Scalise, came within seconds of death by an assassin himself. And now, the most influential conservative activist in generations, our friend Charlie, has been murdered. This violence, it doesn't come from nowhere. Now, any political movement, violent or not violent, is a collection of forces. It's like a pyramid that stacks on top, one support on top of the other. That pyramid's got a foundation of donors, of activists, of journalists, now of social media influencers, and of course of politicians. Not every member of that pyramid would commit a murder. In fact, over 99%, I'm sure, would not. but by celebrating that murder, apologizing for it, and emphasizing not Charlie's innocence, but the fact that he said things some didn't like, even to the point of lying about what he actually said, many of these people are creating an environment where things like this are inevitably going to happen. A couple of months ago, I headlined a fundraiser in Southern California, and since, we'd be out there anyways, my wife and I decided to take our kids to Disneyland one weekend.
Pale Morning Dude says, we're in a spiritual war. Our VP quoted scripture and prayed, we will win. Yes, he quoted scripture. The Lord's Prayer. The Creed itself.
We had fun, and to be clear, most of the guests said very nice things, or they just left us alone. But there was a loud and very vocal minority that would shout at my children, who were 8, 5, and 3, whenever they got the opportunity. You should disown your dad, you little shit, one middle-aged woman yelled at my 5-year-old. Tell the Secret Service to protect the Constitution, not your father, screamed another. Are these women violent? Probably not. Are they deranged? Certainly. And while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left.
It is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left. He's just saying it outright. This is not a both sides issue. The left is the party of violence. The left is the party of lunatics. Those women who thought they'd get all sassy and cuss out the vice president's 5-year-old to his face? Oh. And then they killed his friend.
After Charlie died, one of his friends and one of our senior White House staffers had left-leaning operatives in his neighborhood passing out leaflets telling people what he looked like and where he lived, encouraging neighbors to harass him or, God forbid, to do worse.
These people are sick.
While he was mourning his dead friend, he and his wife had to worry about the political terrorists drawing a big target on the home he shares with his young children. Are these people violent? I hope not.
I hope not. He calls them political terrorists. We have Trump, we have Vance, we have Miller, all of them referring to the shock troops of the Democrat Party as terrorists. It's very clear what they're going to do.
But are they guilty of encouraging violence? You damn well better believe it. We can thank God that most Democrats don't share these attitudes, and I do, while acknowledging that something has gone very wrong with a lunatic fringe, a minority, but a growing and powerful minority on the far left. There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree.
Oh, gotta cool myself down. There is no unity with these people. These people are sick. That was yes, JD understands cadence. The way he built that up, the repetition, he built it up, and then he brought it down and planted it on the ground. Just masterful rhetoric. He's just getting started, man. Oh, remember the tweet a couple of weeks ago where I said, we need to see some of that edge? We need to see the Marine in him. Oh.
Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years.
So he follows that. There is no unity with these people with, hey, FYI, you have been subsidizing. You, American, who is struggling financially. You, normal middle-class person who can barely get by. You are subsidizing these sick people. The Ford Foundation, the Open Society Foundation. You know what this is? This is the libs are about to get proscribed. Assets are going to be seized.
I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
You want to call for unity? Yes, we'll have unity when you bend the knee and your financiers are in prison. That's when we'll have unity.
Now, our government, you heard me talk to Stephen Miller about this, will be working very hard to do exactly that in the months to come. We're not always going to get it right. We will sometimes move more slowly than you would like. We will sometimes move more slowly than I want us to. But I promise you that we will explore every option to bring real unity to our country and stop those who would kill their fellow Americans because they don't like what they say.
Do you see the masterful thing that is being done here? Charlie Kirk is murdered. All these fucking ghouls in the media, the Democrat politicians, the squish conservatives, we must have unity. Please, please give us unity. We killed your guy, now please unite with us. Yes, we will have unity. You know what unity looks like? Unity looks like George Soros and the Ford Foundation and every other liberal NGO having their assets seized and their financiers put in prison. And all of their shock troops arrested. Yes, you want unity? That's unity.
But you have a role too. Civil society, Charlie understands.
Now, he says, he's pacing you here. He says, this is not going to happen fast. So he was just talking to the libs. Now he's talking to us. This isn't going to happen fast. This sort of thing cannot happen fast. It must be slow, relentless, grinding, inevitable. And he says, even I'm not going to be happy with how slow we have to move sometimes. He's aligning himself with you. But we're not the only ones. You can't just sit back and wait for us to do everything for you. You have a role. And listen to what he says your role is.
Our country and stop those who would kill their fellow Americans because they don't like what they say. But you have a role too. Civil society, Charlie understood this well, is not just something that flows from the government. It flows from each and every one of us. It flows from all of us. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility.
You got your marching orders, boys. Go get these libs fired. The vice president himself just told you to do it.
And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination. Get involved. Get involved. Get involved. It's the best way to honor Charlie's legacy. Start a chapter.
I'll replay that again.
And every one of us. It flows from all of us. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there was no civility in the celebration of political assassination.
We are the party of civility. We are the party of common sense. When we're bankrupting the NGOs, that's because we are creating unity. The unity comes when those who foment and finance political violence are crushed and destroyed. That's when we have unity. And your job is to get them fired when they're dancing on the graves of an innocent man, of an innocent father and husband who was violently killed because people didn't like what he said. It is your civic responsibility to enforce civility and get them fired.
Involved. Get involved. Get involved. It's the best way to honor Charlie's legacy. Start a chapter of TPUSA or get involved in the one that already exists. If you're older, volunteer for your local party, write an op-ed in your local paper, run for office.
Get involved.
I can't promise you this is going to be easy. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate.
That's a heavy line right there.
But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Go do it. We owe it to our friend to ensure that his killer is not just prosecuted but punished. And the worst punishment is not the death penalty, but the knowledge that Charlie's mission continues after he's gone. St. Paul tells us.
St. Paul. The worst punishment is not just the death penalty. It's the knowledge that Charlie's work continues after he's gone. What a line.
Continues after he's gone. St. Paul tells us in the book of Ephesians to put on the full armor of God. Let all of us put on that armor and commit ourselves to that cause for which Charlie gave his life, to rebuild a united States of America, and to do it by telling the truth.
Feel like I need a shower after that one. Oh. That reminds me, earlier in his one of his monologues or questions or something like that, he said he referred to himself as the vice president of these United States of America. These United States. That's my vice president, man. Never did I imagine. I thought good things were going to happen. I was sold on JD early last year. After I studied him for a while, especially after I read about his conversion, I realized how deep he runs, how thoughtful of a person he is. I listened to his speeches that he gave, talking about the moment that we find ourselves in, the historic nature of it. And I realized how I realized he's the guy. It's so clear. I don't know who it was who said something in the chat earlier. It might have been Tyler. Said, if this is what Peter Thiel's paying for, maybe Peter Thiel's not that bad of a guy after all. It's a very interesting thought, huh? Yeah, Colin Ross, thank you. It says the conversion of JD was a banger episode. Go back and watch that. If you haven't watched that yet, go over to YouTube or go to Spotify and look for the episode, The Conversion of JD Vance. I read through his article or his essay that he wrote on his conversion to Catholicism and what went into it, talking about his own heritage, the spiritual milieu he grew up with, and approaching his being convicted that he needed to convert, and then and he also talks about his wife. He talks about the role that his wife played in his conversion. See all these little fucking pieces of shit that have lots to say about Usha? Oh, she's a pagan. She's brown. Yeah, I bet you they haven't read about the role that she played in urging JD to convert to Catholicism. If you have an issue with Usha, you're just advertising to me that you've never talked to a woman. You don't know what it's like to feel the love of a woman. You're a little boy. I don't care how old you are. You're a little boy. You've never grown up. Oh, 20 years of JD and 20 years of Barron. Yes, please. Oh. Andrew says, I still remember when you and I were talking on the phone and wondering what news you'd have to talk about after Trump was inaugurated. Seems so silly now how we ever could have thought that. No kidding. Oh. Jukebox Wizard says the Claremont speech did it for me. Don't think anyone could be our guy more than him. And he is just growing into it. His power levels are just in their infancy. They're growing so much. Oh. Yes, Andrew says in the not too distant future, they'll have their tongues cut out for speaking so vulgarly about their queen. You want to talk about civility culture? That's right. Okay, now, this clip was from a couple days ago. Our president, which this clip here now, this is from yesterday. A couple days ago, in my mind, it was actually just yesterday. A little bit of extra color on this, given what we've now heard from JD and Stephen Miller. Gunther Eaglesar.
have to be careful. When we attack people, we have to be careful.
You mentioned Charlie Kirk, sir. What organizations on the left do you anticipate investigating? We talked about this last week.
What organizations on the left do you anticipate investigating?
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the
he's doubling down. They want him so desperately to do the Thomas Massey thing. No. Oh, yeah, let's come together. There's violence on both sides. People say strong things on both sides. No, he's like, nope, the problem's on the left.
Agitators. You look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place. That's the left. That's not the right.
Plan on investigating.
We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation.
When will you announce that you'll be investigating? He says, you'll see. And then he's like, no, they're already under investigation. This isn't like something to come. They're being investigated now, actively.
You know, they're already under major investigation.
Major
investigation. A lot of the
investigation.
people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
They're already under investigation.
A lot of people you would traditionally say are on the left.
Already under investigation.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of those who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged
sick people.
Any progress on the Fed chairman, sir?
Well, other than I don't like him.
No, but
he's incompetent.
I actually hadn't listened to the end of that. Any progress on the Fed chairman? What, apart from I don't like him? It's so funny. I don't know if you guys could hear the other question. She asked if they've started revoking visas from foreigners who were celebrating Charlie's death, and he said that they hadn't, but they will be. That was one thing that what's his name, Marco Rubio announced, and I think today I heard that they've already started. We got a tip here from Mr. Rethuglican.
White man is back, baby. The white man is back.
There were a few times when 48 was getting choked up. He probably wrote this ahead of time, but I can only imagine what he was feeling as he did.
Yes. Yes, he was getting choked up. And like right at the parts where I would have been getting choked up. And I guarantee you he wrote that and he wrote that himself. It sounded like him. If you've read his writing enough, that sounded like him. He's the one who wrote that. He may have had some help, like, you know, other people helped him out with it or something like that. But no, he's the one who wrote that. Imagine a speech writing session with him and Stephen Miller sitting there together working on it. He's a very good writer. He is a extremely intelligent, very thoughtful, very empathetic guy. Now this was today. This is from Trump after JD's podcast hosting, after he gave that monologue.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Yes. Given with all the that's going on with Charlie Kirk's assassination and the left-wing, a lot of left-wing violence going on, do you have plans, and actually this is a great opportunity with all these people, do you plan on designating Antifa finally a domestic terror organization?
Well, it's something I would do, yeah. If I have support from the people back here, I think we'd start with Pam, I think. But I would, if you give me, I would do that 100%, and others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
Are there other groups that you can make up?
There are other groups, yeah, there are other groups. We have some pretty radical groups, and they got away with murder. And also...
What an interesting thing to say. Other groups. So the usual crowd has seized on this and like, why are you waiting? Why are you asking for Pam Bondi? How do you spend 10 fucking years listening to this guy? And you still don't recognize when he's playing it close to the vest? Just willful ignorance, man. He says, well, yeah, I think, yeah, I would do that. I think I would declare Antifa domestic terrorist. Yeah, other groups as well. Yeah, there's lots of them. They got away with murder. How is your takeaway from that he's like wishy-washy and he's just going to defer the decision to Pam Bondi or whatever? Do these people just get up every morning and put their brains in the microwave? The first thing they do, like grab my morning coffee, stick my brain in the microwave, and then go on with my day? He wasn't wishy-washy on Antifa. He was like, oh yeah, Antifa 100% and more. There's more.
I've been speaking to the Attorney General about bringing RICO against some of the people that you've been reading about that have been putting up millions and millions of dollars for agitation. These aren't protests. These are crimes, what they're doing, where they're throwing bricks at cars of ICE and Border Patrol. And they come in with a beautiful new car. They're so proud. It's Border Patrol, ICE, it's got whatever it is. And they're throwing rocks at it.
How dare you throw rocks at his beautiful cars? He worked hard to get the funding for those ICE vehicles. My president hates criminals.
I'm going to come.
And then another reporter tried to get him to do the both sides thing again.
The killing of Melissa Hortman, the attack on Paul Pelosi, the attack on Gabby Giffords, the attack on the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. Why make the case that violence is only on one side? It seems to be taking...
I didn't say it's on one side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way. But the radical left really is... caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country. Okay, yeah, please.
They hate our country. They're not patriots. No patriots, no non-patriots allowed. Okay, check out Douglas Archer's observation. Yeah, they got away with murder. Yeah, that was the thing I was thinking too. I'm wondering what he's referring to when he says they got away with murder. That to me, there's either another situation, another thing that's not immediately coming to mind that he's aware of because he's been briefed on it, or he's directly attributing Charlie's murder to one of those groups. I guarantee you he's been briefed on everything. And here's the other thing. I think, well, actually, I've got more. We got several more tabs to get through. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through this. So, let me just continue with this. Anna Paulina Luna says Neville Singham has spent millions funding militant organizations that have orchestrated violent riots and launched targeted hate campaigns against Americans with different beliefs. Chairman Representative James Comer and I are calling on Scott Bessent at the U.S. Treasury to immediately freeze all of his assets. We will no longer allow billionaires to bankroll anti-American political movements on behalf of foreign governments. Now, who is Neville Singham? We talked about him on the show here a few months ago. Data Republican said, who's behind the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles? This was not spontaneous outrage. This was organized, funded, and coordinated. Here's a breakdown of the groups, the money, and the people pulling the strings. So she works through this. The Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, or CHIRLA, Party for Socialism and Liberation. She works through all the different details of everything. In the most recent year, CHIRLA jumped from $12 million to $34 million in government grants. Here, there are 2 federal grants, both completed. Now moving on to PSL Web. The group which printed the signs for protest, Party for Socialism and Liberation, is not a nonprofit. They are a literal communist party. Finding financials is tricky, but I did find a wiki reference to Answer Coalition. Answer Coalition is mentioned on their Wikipedia page to have significant financial overlap. That is Act Now to Stop War and End Racism, also known as International Answer and the Answer Coalition, a United States-based protest umbrella group consisting of many anti-war and civil rights organizations. Formed in the wake of the September 11th attacks, it has since helped to organize many of the largest anti-war demonstrations in the United States, including demonstrations of hundreds of thousands against the Iraq War. It's closely associated with the Party for Socialism and Liberation and characterizes itself as anti-imperialist, and its steering committee consists of socialist, communist, civil rights advocates, and left-wing and progressive organizations from the Muslim, Arab, Palestinian, Filipino, Haitian, and Latin American communities. It has faced criticism from other anti-war groups for its affiliations, tactics at demonstrations, and allegedly sectarian approach to joint anti-war work. It has also faced criticism from various sources for its anti-Zionist politics. And here I just want to pause to say that if you have made your entire identity anti-Zionism, these are the political bedfellows you have aligned yourself with. This is why making your entire identity anti-Zionism is retarded. You could dislike Zionists. You could be anti-Zionist. But when you revolve your entire life around it, these are the people you're running cover for and you're aligning yourself with. It's just stupid. Anyways, it's tough to find backings on either group as they do not have a nonprofit associated with them. Both claim to be funded entirely by members. However, I did find a New York Post article claiming that both are funded by billionaire socialist Neville Singer. She said Singer, it's Singham. She's a sorry, real nice guy, activist who became a billionaire by pushing Chinese propaganda worldwide. Here is the guy here. Founder and chairman, former chairman of ThoughtWorks, an IT consulting company, which provides custom software tools, and consulting services, which he sold to a private equity firm for $785 million in 2017. In 2019, he started a consulting business with partners who are active in the propaganda apparatus of the Chinese Communist Party and who co-own a company with a municipal government that promotes anti-poverty policies. A socialist and a supporter of Maoism. According to the New York Times, Singham has provided significant funding for media outlets, organizations, and politicians around the world that promote pro-Chinese government propaganda. He went to Howard University. His father, Archibald Singham, was Sri Lankan, while his mother was Cuban. In his youth, he was a member of the League of Revolutionary Black Workers, a black nationalist Maoist group, taking a job at a Chrysler plant in Detroit in 1972 as an activist in the group. He attended Howard University before starting a consulting firm for equipment leasing companies from his Chicago home. He also financed the People's Forum, giving it over $20 million. All 3 Singham-financed organizations were also heavily involved in the Columbia protests. The People's Forum is a Manhattan-based nonprofit which has ties to the Chinese Communist Party through funding from Singham. All 3 groups have been involved in anti-Israel protests, with the People's Forum having a cadre of operatives embedded at Columbia University. The People's Forum received more than $20 million in grants from Singham, much of it filtered through the Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund. Another group, the Bronx Anti-War Coalition, is also connected to groups in Singham's orbit. The Bronx group applauded the murders of the Israeli diplomats on X Thursday. What Elias Rodriguez did is the highest expression of anti-Zionism, a tweet from the group proclaimed. So here's one of the things that Trump could be referencing, with them getting away with murder. And then, RIP Chuck Dirk, he tweeted June 23rd, New York City isn't likely to elect a Muslim socialist as mayor. This is quickly becoming one of the biggest threats to our country. Pay attention. And Data Republican, whose career was made by Chuck Dirk, we learned recently, said Mamdani co-founded Bowdoin Students for Justice in Palestine chapter. SJP is a Neville Singham-funded group. He was president in Cairo for the 2011 Egyptian Revolution. And about an op-ed, he implies that he took part in the protests which installed al-Sisi. He fervently believes that the democratic revolution was hijacked. In his SJP capacity, he led a campaign to get Bowdoin to boycott all Israeli academic institutions. This is his writing. Many people say, or this is quoting Mamdani, many people say we can't mix academia with politics, we can't blur these lines, we can't use the classroom to discuss political issues, but the problem is these classrooms in Israel are built on political issues. They're a consequence of political ideas, said Zoran Mamdani, a founder of SJP. We can't separate the two. We can't privilege Israeli academic freedom over Palestinian human rights. So there is an extra layer of intrigue to this. This first guy, who Anna Paulina Luna is going after, calling on Scott Bessent to seize his assets, or to freeze all of his assets, is the funding backer behind Mamdani. And I didn't get the chance to read through all of this. Let's see here. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is investigating Chinese Communist Party efforts to sow discord in the United States and is conducting oversight over the U.S. government's ability and efforts under existing law to combat such efforts. Specifically, the committee is investigating CCP influence operations that may fall within the purview of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA, and other federal laws. We write today to request that the U.S. Department of Treasury and any relevant component thereof immediately undertake a formal evaluation to determine the applicability of federal sanctions laws and any other civil remedies or criminal penalties enforced by Treasury to include the freezing or seizure of assets with respect to certain far-left entities organized and funded by Neville Royce Singham. It is imperative that we expeditiously halt the continued flow of funds and material support for malign activities conducted at the behest of the CCP. Reportedly, Mr. Singham, a U.S. citizen with ties to the CCP, has been funding and supporting various extremist entities in the United States with the aim of causing destruction and division in our country. On July 10, 2024, Secretary Marco Rubio, then Vice Chairman of the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and Senator Lindsey Graham, then Ranking Member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary, wrote to Attorney General Merrick Garland raising concerns about Mr. Singham's activities on behalf of the CCP. It does not appear that the Biden administration addressed this potential source of civil unrest. Recently, Mr. Singham's activities, according to data scientist Ms. Jenica Pounds, that's Data Republican. Mr. Singham's activities, according to data scientist Ms. Jenica Pounds, have expanded to include the foment of unrest and civil disobedience in Los Angeles, prompting President Donald Trump to call in the National Guard to counter attacks on federal law enforcement officials. It has been reported that Mr. Singham is the main backer behind the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which has organized nationwide protests, including riots in Los Angeles. According to the New York Times, Mr. Singham, who resides in the People's Republic of China, has a long track record of assisting far-left entities such as Code Pink that oppose U.S. interests and support U.S. adversaries. He's created an elaborate dark money network which allows him to send funds to a series of nonprofits, such as the United Community Fund and Justice Education Fund, that have almost no real footprints. Nonprofit filings show that nearly $1.8 million flowed from these nonprofits to Chinese media company Maku Group. Maku's website also shows young people gathering in Mr. Singham's office facing a banner that reads, "Always follow the party," with an image of General Secretary Xi Jinping in the background. In 2019, Mr. Singham started a consulting business with Chinese partners, quote, active in the propaganda apparatus, end quote, of the CCP. Moreover, it appears that Mr. Singham supports Breakthrough Media, a platform known for promoting pro-CCP talking points and geopolitical interests. According to the New York Times, reporters, quote, tracked hundreds of millions of dollars to groups linked to Mr. Singham that mix progressive advocacy with Chinese government talking points, end quote. These reports suggest that Mr. Singham may have acted as an agent for the CCP under General Secretary Xi. The CCP is known for its strategy of sowing discord. Very ironic. Discord. which, quote, refers to efforts to make internal disputes amongst the enemy so deep that they become distracted from conflict. If Mr. Singham is carrying out this strategy on behalf of the CCP, he may have an unfulfilled FARA registration obligation. Goes on about FARA. Mr. Singham has expanded his network to include not only far-left pro-CCP entities, but also radical anti-Semitic entities. One such organization is Shut It Down for Palestine, an entity established in October of 2023. According to the Network Contagion Research Institute, conveners, or organizations operating under the SID4P umbrella, are members of Singham's donor portfolio. These organizations include the People's Forum, Answer Coalition, International People's Assembly, Al-Awda, New York, National Students for Justice on Palestine, Palestinian Youth Movement, and Palestinian American Community Center in New Jersey. Some of these groups have ties to U.S.-designated foreign terrorist organizations, such as the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Moreover, one of SID4P's endorsers is an entity known as Samadown, which is, according to open source reporting, is a front for the PFLP. The committee wrote to Mr. Singham in June requesting his cooperation with our investigation by providing documents and communications related to these matters. To date, he has ignored the committee's request. In addition to potential criminal liability for failing to register as a foreign agent under FARA, these reported activities in the entities controlled by and funded by Mr. Singham raise the question of whether his assets and or the assets of entities he controls or funds are subject to sanctions administered or enforced by Treasury and its components. We therefore request that the Treasury immediately undertake a formal evaluation to determine the applicability of any relevant sanctions and any other civil remedies or criminal penalties for Mr. Singham's assets and the assets of entities he controls or funds, including whether to freeze or seize such assets. Such an evaluation should include, in addition to Mr. Singham's directly controlled assets, the following entities alleged to have ties with him: Party for Socialism and Liberation, Code Pink, No Cold War, Tricontinental, United Community Fund, Justice and Education Fund, People's Support Foundation, New Fame, People's Forum, Dongsheng News, Shut It Down for Palestine, Answer Coalition, International People's Assembly, Al-Awda, New York, National Students for Justice in Palestine, Palestinian Youth Movement, Palestinian American Community Center, New Jersey, Samadown, and Breakthrough Media. In addition to conducting the comprehensive evaluation requested above, we further request the Treasury keep the committee updated as to the status of the evaluation and any conclusions or outcomes, including, as necessary, by briefing us periodically on Treasury's progress in this specific matter. Let's see here. Anything else that jumps out? No, that's it. So, we've got the first move against a one of these radical leftist billionaires. And be prepared. Be prepared, because obviously the mention of anti-Semitism in there. I haven't, this popped up in my notifications while I was putting the show together, so I haven't looked at replies or commentary or anything on it. But I'm fully expecting that as they undertake this purge of the NGOs, anti-Semitism is going to be one of the major things that motivates it. Because, number one, it's legally airtight, effectively. And many of these, I mean, you guys have seen the Antifa people, Black Lives Matter, all of these different radical organizations, many of them are also very anti-Semitic. So they're using that as a way to target them. And you're going to get a whole bunch of fucking retards who are flipping out about this because they care more about Israel than they do about having radical, violent, terrorist organizations in the United States being defunded. This is going to be a big highlighter of priorities. There's going to be a big division that happens here among the right. And I suspect that this division that happens is going to ultimately form basically the fundamental division in the country by 2028. The right is going to split. There's going to be a loud vocal minority, the people who spend all of their time thinking about Israel, are going to be sectioned off. And they're going to wind up on the opposite side. That's going to be the new opposition party. The retard right versus the real right, yes. Blauvelt says they're anti-Semitic because they're anti-white. We need to leverage this against them. Yes. They want you dead as much as they want Israel dead, by the way. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, crazy how flush the left is with mounds upon mounds of cash. This is from Trump. Governor Kathy Hochul of New York has endorsed the Little Communist. I love the way Liddle apostrophe. Little Communist. Zoran Mamdani running for mayor of New York. This is a rather shocking development and a very bad one for New York City. How can such a thing happen? Washington will be watching the situation very closely. No reason to be sending good money after bad. President DJT from 16 hours ago. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Israel issue and some of the conspiracies and stuff, and also more about the this Tyler Robinson character tomorrow. Getting into more of the details and all that. I didn't have time to go through it all today, so I've still got a handful of things to go through here. Here is a great thread from the John Birch Society. Patriots. Congress cannot sit idle in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Leftist NGOs have fueled the climate that made this violence possible. It's time for investigations and accountability. America's future depends on it. Here's how you can contact your local representative. Step 1, find your representative. Go to house.gov, find your representative, enter your zip, and get the name of your member of Congress. Step 2, target the right place. Look for the committees your representative sits on. Committees like Oversight and Accountability, Judiciary, Appropriations, Financial Services, Education, the Workforce, and Administration are examples of panels that issue subpoenas as part of Congress's oversight role. Committees can compel testimony and documents as part of legislative oversight. A willful refusal to comply with a congressional subpoena can be pursued as contempt under federal law with criminal penalties. That's why subpoenas are a powerful oversight tool. Knowingly making false statements or concealing material information when testifying for a congressional committee can also lead to criminal charges under federal law. Step 3, how to find committee assignments and contact info. Google the member's full name or use the link from house.gov. The member's official site normally has a committees and caucuses page and a clearly marked contact or constituent services page. Step 4, writing your message. Structure, short and focused wins. Aim for 3 paragraphs. Quick intro, who you are, where you live. Number 2, the ask, what you want the member to do, plus what committee this relates to, show you did the homework. And step 3, a polite close asking for a response. Personalize. Identical mass messages are less likely to get tailored replies. When writing your reps, don't just demand accountability, be specific. Urge them to use RICO against violent leftist networks and consider reviving HUAC. Congress needs to know the people expect actions, not words. Do's. Be polite. Name the committee you think should act. Offer one to two specific asks, e.g., request that the member urge the committee to open an oversight hearing or request documents, and ask for a reply. Don'ts. Do not threaten or encourage violence. That risks criminal exposure. Don't write a manifesto, and don't demand actions outside Congress's authority. Who replies? Most replies come from the member's legislative staff, legislative correspondent, or policy staff. For sensitive or high-profile issues, the member may personally review or edit staff drafts, so keep records of replies and use them later if needed. Step 5. Track, follow up, and escalate. Save any responses. If the reply is weak or non-committal, use it at a town hall or public event to seek accountability. You can also send it to the campaign of a challenger during a primary, or join the campaign staff yourself to oust your representative from Congress. Remember, persistence matters. Be polite, be firm, and be specific in what you ask for. Track your representatives' responses, hold them accountable at town halls, and share what you learn with others. Citizens have to keep the pressure on. Remember, your vice president said, get involved, get involved, get involved. Just do it. Slutty Milk says, use ChatGPT or Grok to help you write the actual words you send the officials to save time. You can just tell the AI you use to follow these guidelines and have them write it for you. Charlie Kirk has brought back civic engagement. That's right. The Patriots are getting activated. This is a good point, Colin Rosh. You can sell leftist domestic terrorists to the normie. You can't sell some dark Israel op took out Charlie. Yeah. Yes, right. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a big, what's the word I'm looking for here? A moment where, like a fork of the road moment. The guys who are so overcome with Israel obsession are going to find themselves arguing against obstructing effectively the defunding and purging of the NGO networks on the basis that it's being done for Israel. This is when you know that you have been brain rotted terminally. You know, it's possible to care about Israel, to be aware of the Jewish question, to have a negative impression on it all, and yet still not make it the defining issue that dominates your mind round the clock every single day, that you think every single political issue ought to orient around. That's called maturity. And I don't know about you, but I care far more about radical domestic terrorist cells in my own country than I do about whatever's happening in the Middle East. I don't give a shit what country it is. And we'll have more, turning point. Thank you. That was the phrase I was looking for. And we'll discuss more about this on the show tomorrow. Let me react a little bit to, I got a good tweet here about the guys who have been chimping. Bad chimping. So, real political data here said, let's cut the shit. If the Trump admin doesn't deliver a real response by Monday, we're never going to get a real response or update. These morons will just continue like business is normal and give an indirect nod to these lunatics since no real accountability will happen. And I don't know who this is, but a Texan anime account. So since he's continued to chimp the fuck out these past few days, I'm publicly challenging, what's his name? Real Political Data, to qualify what a real response is in the instance of this debacle. The Trump admin is purging the Department of War of anybody who celebrated Kirk's murder, and I can say that I know a guy who already has someone being dishonorably discharged for it. They're dishonorably discharging people from the Department of War. They're revving up RICO cases against Soros, indicating he isn't the only one. Please go after Act Blue, Sandy Hook Promise, Tides Foundation, etc. next. They're beginning investigations into left-wing Discord servers, which I can firsthand attest to being where these dullards plan everything on. They're also going after state-level DSA entities, which will hopefully lead to a national investigation. If my DC socialite friends are excited about RICO cases and departmental purges, this comes off as a real response to me at the very least. You're talking about the United States federal government. These things take a hot minute to get going here, my brothers and sisters. The fact that we have gotten any confirmation of serious action with RICO cases and the DSA being investigated is huge. There's absolutely a sense of urgency here, and there's a massive incentive to go after these people. I would like to point out that while we were bashing the FBI for 2 days, they were tracing the assassin's data signal pathway and got a lock independent of the photos. They would have found him either way. All things considered, this is a fairly fast pace for the US Gov to be responding. I would sit tight and just wait for updates to come out instead of panicking because some people here aren't capable of not having daily politics-induced stress attacks. They know. They're acting. I wouldn't worry. This is as close to a meaningful and rapid response to a push against leftist organizations nationwide as one can get without them going into breaking major OPSEC. There are things they cannot tell us yet, and we simply have to hold on and wait for them to verify all information they intend to go public with is clean. You all should do this too if you're feeling yourself get anxious about this. Shout out to Tyrone. Tyrone, the Patriot. And I had some thoughts, relatedly. So I was piggybacking off of this bit of commentary here from our wild-eyed Jeet.
Going back to the group chats real quick, there's more than 20 individuals, but this is a great point. I want to lay out how this works. People think we can just get in these group chats and immediately find out who's in them. We, the FBI, are the investigatory body supporting multiple prosecutions and ongoing investigations, and that's another point. Our investigation at the FBI is ongoing. And there are scores of people in this Discord chat room. But we have to effectuate legal process. We have to go out there with search warrants so that if prosecutors want to later use this evidence, it's not tainted by being illegally obtained. We, the FBI, are running the investigation pointedly on the Discord chat group. There are scores of individuals that are going to be spoken to. There are also lots of family members and friends that have already been spoken to. And one more point on forensics. We were able to obtain in record time the text message chain between the suspect and his live-in partner, as well as other critical cellular information from our CAS team that analyzes cell phone data towers in the area to pinpoint the locations of the suspect and other individuals he was speaking with. This is critical information that the FBI processed and got to prosecutors so they can lawfully use it in a court of law. And our investigation, our interviews continue, but we've learned some shocking things when we spoke to his family and friends as well.
It has blown my mind. The number of people who I've seen who have said, the FBI has been a failure, they haven't accomplished anything, this is terrible, they just embarrassed themselves, Cash has revealed he's not up to the task. How do you possibly come to that conclusion? Like, I don't have like, oh my God, it was amazing, they absolutely blew it out, it was the most incredible investigation of all time. But they got the dude in less than a day and a half. Do you remember how long the Boston bombers took to find? It was like 5 days. I'm old enough to remember, within a couple hours of this happening, them saying, they're never going to find the guy. He's going to get away. We're never going to know. He's already out of the country. They're going to find him. He's going to be dead. And less than a day and a half, barely more than 24 hours later, they found the guy. And then people are like, oh, well, his dad turned him in. That doesn't count. You know why his dad turned him in? Because they applied the right amount of pressure to make him turn him in. And they'd pinged him already and they were tracking him. So they would have found him even if his dad hadn't turned him in. People have like terminal Law and Order brain. Where they have this like perception that this investigation is going to be like TAC teams moving out. And we're going to be like zooming around in Humvees and tracking the guy down. Look, we got a computer and we're following him. And we're going to go up to his house. We're going to break in the doors and flying in through the windows and tackle him to the ground. And how are so many of our guys such smart, well-read dudes who just have zero idea how the real world actually works? They found the dude the next day. They found the dude the next day. They induced his family into turning him in peacefully. They had an FBI agent on the scene 16 minutes after the bullet was fired. What in all of this has been them dropping the ball? Literally all that I can conclude is that people are prepared. They're terminally black-pilled, so they're expecting it's going to happen. And he's a Jeet, so obviously he's going to fuck everything up. So therefore, literally anything happens, and that's proof that it was a failure. So I said, this whole thing's just going to piss me off. I don't mean the approach of the FBI. I mean the response from our guys, treating people like Cash as if they're the enemy. A week ago, it was universally held that the FBI and DOJ were thoroughly corrupted and full of traitors and subversives. This entire year has been defined by the administration being obstructed and bogged down by corrupt prosecutors and judges at every turn, and yet they've continued to pile up wins. All of that massive network of lawfare is ongoing. They quite literally don't have the personnel, in quality or quantity, to deliver your personal McDonald's order checklist of whatever you, from the outside, think is the only possible way or everything burns to the ground tomorrow. When the Biden, or previously captured Trump DOJ, weaponized every tool they had against normie Americans, they had effectively full and complete buy-in from the entire system. They didn't have to concern themselves with procedural I-dotting and T-crossing. We would need at least one full presidential term's worth of wins and momentum to even begin to approach that level of institutional capture, and even that would be unprecedented. Cash says it explicitly in this clip. We have to ensure that any evidence we gather isn't illegally obtained. It would be far worse for them to get all of this stuff thrown out on technicalities. You want to juice Antifa at all with a massive shot of energy? You blow your wad too aggressively and grant further implicit institutional sanction to do and be what they are. It's not fair. Why do our guys have to play by a different set of rules than their guys? Congratulations, you finally caught up. Welcome. You want that to change? Go get yourself hired by the FBI or DOJ. You should have done that weeks or months ago, but you could still do it. In the short term, this has provided a golden opportunity to purge further subversives from these institutions. That itself will require a tremendous number of man-hours. So think about the number of things they're having to do at the same time. They're having to orchestrate this massive manhunt investigation and dedicate all the necessary personnel to that, while knowing that there's a good chance that some of the people who are being sent out there are like undercover subversives. So they're going to have to keep an eye on that, making sure that people aren't throwing the investigation, while they're also going through their ranks and having to find all of the people who are identifying themselves as subversives, investigating them, getting them tossed out. And this is just within the FBI. Not to mention any of the other FBI investigations they have going on. So that itself will require a tremendous number of man-hours, but the admin jumped on it from the get-go. If you want them to be successful in leveraging this opportunity to make a major dent in our enemies, throw your full unmitigated support behind Trump and his handpicked deputies and direct your ire at Congress, while watching for selective leaks identifying prosecutors, judges, FBI agents, DOJ attorneys, or other potential obstructionists. The admin has cleverly communicated these things to us in the past. They will do it again. And for the love of God, stop with the, if they don't do X and Y by Z date, it's all over and the country is lost. Inevitably, Z date will arrive and the country will still be here whether or not they've done X and Y. All you accomplish with that sort of hysterical fatalism is demoralizing yourself and others at a time when our moral character needs to be at its sternest. This war won't and can't be won in hours or days. It will take years. Pick yourself up by the nutsack and lock in. And Baron von Rittenhouse here, regarding Trump, the clip I played a little bit ago when he talked about their multiples that are already under major investigation, he said he's playing it close to the vest. This is what you want. My hunch is that once the operation is successful, he'll say more. This is very wise. It's not a time to be emotional. It's a time to be cold and cunning. You know, there's a major issue right now among the right-wing poster culture, which is that they're all a bunch of hysterical, like, neurotic little goofballs that perpetually need...
Back, baby! The white man is back!
Astalib would say, the intolerant minority would withhold its praise and hold their high expectations to draw the tolerant majority to do its bidding. Are you suggesting we do a short blitz through the institutions, or are currently in it? 25-25.
As Talib would say, the intolerant minority would withhold its praise and hold their high expectations to draw the tolerant majority to do its bidding. Are you suggesting we do a short blitz through the institutions or are currently in it? 25 out of 25. I don't know what the 25 out of 25 is a reference to. But no, I'm not suggesting a short blitz through the institutions. I'm saying that it's going to require a long blitz through the institutions. It's going to take time to get through all of that. And it's going to require political capital and willpower from the base to push that through. So if the base is dooming out and throwing shit constantly at whatever deputy they've decided they're mad at on a given day, whether it's Bongino or Patel or Bondi or Kristi Noem or whomever, they're not contributing anything. They're definitely not contributing anything positive with respect to the relationship to the administration. There's a good possibility they're contributing something negative by making it harder for them to do their job, by diminishing the political will. And even if they're not affecting the administration at all, they're demoralizing everybody who's listening to them. And that may be the worst thing of all. Convincing everyone who's already in this like I don't know, long-haired cat in a room full of rocking chairs, kind of like neurotic and spastic, that all the bad stuff is about to happen. You wake up in the morning, you have a fucking panic attack because everyone on the timeline is like, oh, they're going to do this right now, and if they don't, it's blah, blah, blah. It's terrible for people's psychology. It's terrible for your own psychology. This is what strategic chimping is. Strategic chimping is not an excuse to just yell about everything that you're mad about. And go, oh, the administration listened when I yelled before, so every time I'm mad, I'm just going to yell into the void. And that's what a lot of people use it as an excuse for. And so much of the right-wing poster world, this is what I was going to say, is so neurotic. They constantly need back pats and hand-holding. And they demand that the administration like show their hand on everything just so they can feel better and ensure that there's somebody in control. And like, yeah, occasionally the administration does have a responsibility to signal certain things. Like, I don't know, having the fucking vice president go out and give a barn burner speech declaring war on radical leftism. But really, we should be better than this. We shouldn't have to require back pats and hand-holding all of the time to not spaz out and melt down every other day. Oh, we're going to be betrayed. Oh, we're going to... It's like beaten wife syndrome. And yeah, we've been beaten in the past. But it's so fucking obvious that this is not the same administration as any administration we've ever seen before. And demanding that they just lay open their playbook so you can personally feel better about things is pathetic. Your job is to have a fucking spine yourself. Nut up, lock in, and do what you can do that's productive. Making these vast, histrionic, melodramatic statements about how it's almost the end of the world, and it's all about to be over, and oh, they failed us again, and he just needs to hurry up and fire this person because I personally don't like them. It's just pathetic. You can't tell me that you're like a fan of monarchy or elite theory or you hate democracy or whatever, and then turn around and freak the hell out because the leaders that you've elected aren't giving you a step-by-step playbook of every single thing they're doing, particularly in the current environment. Now, to Real Political Data's credit, earlier today, later after the exchange I showed earlier, he says, good on Patel for saying something. If this was the old FBI, we would have never known this. Well, isn't that interesting? You mean that we have an FBI that is more on the ball and is actually communicating stuff to us that the old FBI wouldn't have? But I thought this was all exactly the same and that Kash Patel is just a failure and a loser and he's got funny eyes and...
His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology and even more so in these last couple of years. And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions. But I believe in this instance of such public importance, the public has a right to know. And I've told you I'm committed to transparency, and that's what I'm doing here today.
Why didn't that person that he was talking to, why didn't that person say something?
Our investigation is ongoing. That's a great question, and we don't have an answer on that just yet. His family...
So, that looks like a further thing to be investigated. There's so much that has to be investigated in all of this, and by its very nature, it would be imprudent of them to reveal certain things ahead of time. Whether it's because they're not tipping certain people off, or because they're not compromising the investigation or prejudicing the public for certain things. They really have to dot all of their I's and cross all of their T's religiously. There is a double standard. They do have to go above and beyond, with the full knowledge that there's guaranteed to be people who are engaged and have responsibility within this investigation who are secretly wanting to work against it and throw the investigation. That's the environment that they're working in. Federal Bureau of Indians. It's funny. Blauvout, Discord did confirm there was no evidence of collusion almost immediately after the incident. I've got something on that that we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll get more into some of the details of the investigation and stuff on tomorrow's show. Mr. Butt Poop, Patriot. Everyone say shout out to Mr. Butt Poop. He says, everybody wants to be a monarchist until it's time to do monarchist stuff. Exactly. Slutty Milk, elite theory niggas when elite practice is employed. Right. Now, the most surprising congressman who's come out looking the best in all of this, and this kind of makes me, I don't like having to do this, but you know what? Massey has left me no choice. I have to praise Congressman Randy Fine. Last night, he said those celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk must be thrown out of civil society. If you're aware of anyone in the 6th District of Florida, or heck, anywhere in the state, who works at any level of government, works for an entity that gets money from government, healthcare, university, or holds a professional license, lawyer, medical professional, or teacher, that is publicly celebrating the violence, please contact my office. I will demand their firing, defunding, and license revocation. If you don't think I'm serious, I got 2 state university board chairmen fired for less. These monsters want to fight? Congratulations. They got one. And I gotta tip my hat Thomas Massey, oh my God. How does he do it? Thomas Massey. The fat Thomas Massey. Incredible. Look at him. It's Thomas Massey. Oh. Look at the fucking little... Look at this shit. You see what you've done to me, Thomas? I'm having to say good job to this fucking guy. It's not me, it's you. So, of course, the squishy Republicans are all, cancel culture, hypocrisy, Leighton Woodhouse. Conservatives are seriously trying to argue with a straight face that this is not cancel culture. And a banger from the Patriot, Perry Abbasi. The way to get free trade is by imposing tariffs so the other side surrenders and drops the tariffs they have on us. Similarly, the only way to end cancel culture is to apply it to the left until they surrender. Retards like Leighton have no idea how to win. Thank goodness that we have Donald Trump, who will teach us how to win. Perry is just such a treasure, man. You get these banger tweets that completely reframe a thing all of a sudden in your mind. You'll never see it another way once you've seen it. And then you also get the typical Perry tweet. It's just phenomenal. We do need a Perry emote. I need to get caught up on my to-do list here with the emotes and such that I need to add. Let me make a note of that real quick. Perry emote. Funniest person on the internet, man. Perry's tweet about Grok and Will Stancil will go in the top 10 tweets of all time. Perry's going to have like half of the top 10 tweets of all time. Just Barry Abbasi never misses. His tweets are all bangers that hit hard. Makes me so happy to share a world with Perry Abbasi, Orthodox Christian and alpha male. Over 100 teachers in Texas will now have their teacher certification suspended and become ineligible to teach in Texas public schools after they endorsed Charlie Kirk's assassination or incited more violence, Governor Greg Abbott announces. Wheels is up to the task. They're all finding out. Quote, the Texas Education Agency is investigating Texas teachers whose actions called for or incite violence following the Charlie Kirk assassination. Governor Hot Rod, that's right. Now, one thing that's worth considering here is with these mass cancellation operations, you're going to get some very angry, very desperate libs. Get fired, don't have money. Donald Trump's slashing the social safety net. And they're going to get further radicalized. So this is not just a matter of you get them fired and we all live happily ever after. There's going to be a response. There's going to be a lash out. The dying animal that's cornered, it's coming. So keep your head on a swiggle. And there's going to have to be a reaction, and there's going to have to be a reaction to the reaction that further crushes them and shuts them down. We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But one of the best interactions that's happened on the internet, we've been graced with. I'm assembling a team. Patrick Casey says, I'm dying at the thought of someone answering the phone, and it's Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, calling to ask why their employee is celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. Absolute patriot. Rudy Giuliani, who was just subject to his own assassination attempt in a brutal car accident, I imagine is either in a hospital bed or recuperating at home. Nothing else to do, so he's on Twitter getting phone numbers and calling businesses to get libs fired. America's mayor is the greatest patriot of all time. He replied to Patrick Casey and says, we can't ignore it. Thank you, Patrick. And Baked Alaska said, Rudy, you're a patriot. Thank you for your service. And Rudy Giuliani said, thank you, Baked Alaska. God bless you. What a timeline. Oh my God. And then when Raw Egg Nationalist, whose Twitter handle is BabyGravy9, said something similar, he replied to him and said, thank you, Baby Gravy. Thank you, Baby Gravy. Incredible. You should never, ever wake up without thanking the Lord that you are alive today, that you get to live in this timeline, experience these incredible things. And every night before you go to bed, make it part of your prayer rule. Thank the Lord that you get to live in the timeline where Rudy Giuliani tweets, thank you, Baby Gravy. Just incredible. And going to wrap here. We're going to have to push off the Tucker Carlson and Sam Altman conversation. We'll do that one tomorrow. We'll talk about this tomorrow. But we're going to wrap here with Matt Walsh, signal boosted by Elon Musk, talking about the conservatives' pounce, the cancellation, our great patriot, Matt Walsh.
There is a fundamental difference between the cancel culture that the left engages in and the quote-unquote canceling that the right is doing in the way...
Douglas Archer says, imagine being a medieval peasant that never got to see Rudy Giuliani thank Baby Gravy. added to the list of reasons why I would not want to be a medieval peasant.
Wake of Charlie's assassination and the left's celebration of it. The difference is that the left will cancel you for saying objectively true, good, and normal things. To the extent that the right cancels you, it'll be for saying objectively abhorrent, perverse, and sick things.
Oh, thank you, Slosher. Yes, notifications, I did have them turned off when I was playing a video earlier, and I forgot to turn them back on.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
70% of them voters wanted people to go to concentration camps for not getting the vax. I don't care that these people are losing their jobs.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's been a long time coming. And this is, when you behave in this way, it's, you're part of like honor culture and the degradation of the norms in our society has been the over-insistence upon the government or the over-reliance on the government. There has to be a restoration of private citizens taking private action. And what we've seen from the administration is, J.D. Vance explicitly authorized it. He commanded you to get these people fired. From the top of the government, you've been commanded to get these people fired as a matter of civic responsibility. Because basic social norms must be enforced. And they're going to shriek and they're going to cry and they're going to lash out. And I'm sure someone who gets fired is going to get really upset and they're going to go do something horrific and they're going to have to be crushed. And anybody who endorses it or speaks up on their behalf is going to have to get fired as well. We're going to have to go through multiple rounds of this. This is why, things are going to get worse.
Back, baby! The white man is back!
We keep getting them fired until we have more Tranisaris than we can deal with judiciously. Then, well, come the extrajudicial deals. Interesting. 26 predictions correct. Short blitz as opposed to long march 4 they took 80 years, we'll take 12. 27.
Okay, I see what the 25 and 25 was. Tranisaries is such a... Shout out to Oren for coming up with that. Tranisaries is so good. Yes, our blitz will be short. Compared to the 80 years, our blitz will be short. And this is really leftism versus rightism. Like the right when they get activated, they get ruthless and they crack down hard and swift. This is these I almost kind of feel a little bit bad for them. Like I don't, but I almost do a little, where it's like they had no idea what was coming. They couldn't have even conceived of it. They had zero OPSEC. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been, I can't remember the guy's Twitter handle. I could see it in my head, but I can't remember what it was. Who said that this is like the Indians encountering smallpox for the first time. They had zero OPSEC. They've been Fed posting on Maine for years with no consequences. And suddenly, one thing happened. They did what they usually do, and they got absolutely obliterated. An organized effort to just sweep right through and crush them in a way that they've never even considered would be conceivably possible. So yes, our blitz will be quicker. It'll also be bloodier. That's the thing. They did it in 80 years so that they could minimize the direct body count. Ours will have more of a body count, necessarily. That's not quite right. Ours will have a more visible body count. It'll happen quicker, harder, more ruthlessly, but it needs to happen. Which should not be taken, of course, as an advocacy for violence. The violence would be the worst thing possible. Actually going and doing something violent would be the dumbest possible thing that you could do. Just giving them a martyr to reverse all of the progress. But they're going to get... It's been a long time coming that they actually experience consequences for their abhorrent antisocial behavior. And they're going to be experiencing all of those consequences all up front, all at once. And after we go through a few cycles of this, You'll get the fringiest, the most aggressive, in-your-face ones get smacked down. And then all of the bulk of the normies are like, woo, definitely don't want to be there. Don't want to be touching anything like that. The normies get their political opinions changed in an instant. There's no stickiness to them. Yeah, Fenris, violence hurts the right more than it hurts the left, at least for now. Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Viva Cristo Rey says they didn't have any real crimes to go after. We actually have them dead to rights for treason. Yeah, they had to invent crimes. We've already got the crimes on the books. They just have to be enforced. All right, back to the bearded patriot, Matt Walsh.
And this distinction matters, as we're saying objectively true, good, and normal things. To the extent that the right cancels you, it'll be for saying objectively abhorrent, perverse, and sick things. And this distinction matters. As I've said for years, the problem with the left's attack on speech is not just that they're attacking speech, but that they're attacking true and right speech. They want you to be fired for saying, for example, that men can't have babies and women don't have penises. The problem isn't simply that they're trying to get you fired for saying something. It's that they're trying to get you fired for saying the most basic and true things that it's possible for a person to say. The left's war on speech is not a war just on speech, it's a war on truth.
Yes.
They want to punish truth.
Yes. This is the most important takeaway. The cancellation things are not equal. There's no both sides here either. When the right is canceling the left, it's good. Because the right is canceling the left for good reasons, because the left is saying and doing evil things. When the left is canceling the right, it's bad. Because they're evil and they're doing it for evil reasons. They're trying to suppress the truth. When the right is canceling the left, we are highlighting the truth. We are enforcing the truth.
And that will always be worse. Obviously, significantly worse. There is a difference in kind between the statement, men aren't women, and the statement, Charlie Kirk deserved to die because he was a fascist, Nazi, racist bigot. What's the difference? Well, the first statement is the most obviously true thing that anyone can ever say. The second statement is a demented, deranged, perverse, sick, evil, wicked, horrendous, outrageous lie that not only smears the good name of an innocent man, but also implicitly encourages violence against the millions of people who agree with his politics. That's the difference. And the idea that we can't advocate social consequences against the latter statement without also accepting or approving of such consequences for the former statement is asinine. The idea that society must treat all speech...
I love the word asinine. I need to remember to use that more often.
...is asinine. The idea that society must treat all speech exactly the same, as if it's impossible to distinguish between banal everyday truth and the deranged hallucinatory rantings of bloodthirsty sociopathic hobgoblins, is totally ludicrous. Now, I don't think that such ranting should be made illegal. I don't think that the people celebrating Charlie's death should be banned by the government.
And here's the thing, is if you don't want those things made illegal, if you don't want those things banned by the government, which I don't want them illegal or banned by the government, simply for a matter of logistics. I'd rather the government be focused on other things. Don't worry, government, we're going to take care of this. You focus on the more important things. We're going to enforce these norms and standards. Those have to be enforced privately.
From saying those things. But I do think it's good that these people lose their jobs. It's good that they are shamed and humiliated and must live with the repercussions for the rest of their lives. It's good if they wake up every day until they die wishing they had not said what they said.
Yes.
That's what I want. I want them to wake up every single day and the first thing they think is, my God, I wish I hadn't said that. It took my entire life off the rails. Everything has changed for the worse because I had to go and say the most vile and disgusting thing that anyone could ever say. I want that to be the first thought in their head every day when they wake up. We cannot have a civilized and decent society unless there are severe social consequences for people who express publicly these kinds of sentiments. Okay, because these people are barbarians. They are savages and should be treated as such.
Yes.
Free speech does not mean that we should act with anything but revulsion and disgust to people who say revolting and disgusting things and who in turn reveal themselves to be revolting and disgusting human beings. I'll take that nurse I mentioned earlier. Just think about this. Upon seeing that a man with a wife and 2 young children have been shot in the throat on stage, her first reaction was to cuss out his kids and his mother and gloat about the murder. Now, that sort of statement, look, I know we're all desensitized from being on the internet, but you have to understand, I mean, that kind of, that is not just an expression of an opinion. That is a revelation of her character, and it is the character of someone who is barely human at this point, barely has a soul. You know, it's a character of someone who is unfit to live among civilized people.
Yes. Ah. People who think that way, who not just think that way, but have the lack of social grace necessary to verbalize that. And not just verbalize that, but verbalize it publicly. In an exulting way. Thinking people are going to validate her for it. Knowing people are going to validate her for it. These people were put in asylums for far less than that. These are not people that can be trusted with any sort of authority or power over anyone. Like what? Maybe, I don't know, they can sweep floors, perhaps? Someone whose brain is that demented and twisted cannot be treated as an equal. They simply are not. They have to be completely cordoned off from society. And rehabilitated. They should actually be given the opportunity to be rehabilitated and earn their way back into society through hard labor. It'd be very good for them. They should be surrounded by monastics who are praying for them daily. They should be hearing prayers constantly. Even people like that can be drawn to repentance, can be saved. The Lord can touch even those souls. But that doesn't mean they should be accepted in polite society. Or you don't just not have a polite society, you don't have a society at all. You have a zoo of animals. And not like a zoo where each one has its own cage. No, it's just a pen with a free-for-all in it. It's the exact opposite of civilization.
Of someone who should be shunned and shamed and alienated by society. Not through force of law, not through legislation or legal consequence, certainly not through violence, but through social rejection. Because people who cuss out the children of men who are murdered on live TV deserve to be socially rejected. Because monsters should be treated like monsters, and she is a monster. Now, the left may now say that even if it doesn't infringe on free speech rights to fire someone for saying something abhorrent, that even so, we should have more grace and forgiveness. Well, guys, you should have thought of that before you spent the last 20 years trying to destroy our lives for saying anything that you even vaguely disagree with.
And shunning and socially isolating and exiling people is not at odds with forgiveness. You could forgive them and also shun them and socially isolate them. And furthermore, forgiveness requires repentance. You can't forgive an unrepentant person. There's nothing to forgive.
You should have thought of that before you danced on my friend's grave and laughed at his grieving widow. No, what you want is for us to grant you radical tolerance and acceptance while you continue to give us no such thing in return. But that deal doesn't work anymore, guys. The deal doesn't work. The deal is over. It's off. We never should have gone along with it to begin with, and now it is over. You will be held to your own standard. You will have your own rules enforced against you. You will be given your own medicine, whether you like it or not. And you will not like it.
Oh, Matt Walsh, my man. Blavout says, I love this rhetoric coming from our big commentators. They're circling the wagons and drawing a boundary around what's acceptable. Step out of bounds and you are exiled. We will not live in fear. Fearer. We will not live in fear. You will live in exile. That video was shared by Mr. Elon Musk. All right, got some tips to catch up on here, and then we will wrap it up for the night.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
Oh, ye of little memory. Tranisaris was made up in the VC we had day off, after which I said that Yannis had been used for a while to describe that type of person. Or was it a stream? IDK, I know I had that interaction a day or two before Orangevit.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't there for it. So this is a plebeian elite theorist here. Said Tranisaris was made up in the VC we had day of, after which I said that Jannies had been used for a while to describe that type of person. Or was it a stream? IDK, I don't know. I know I had that interaction a day or two before Oren's vid. I didn't hear it, but you apparently willed it into the zeitgeist, and Oren plucked it off and ran with it. And another.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
When I do it, it's based. When you do it, it's cringe.
Yes, it's that simple. Get away from me with the hypocrisy stuff. When I do it, it's based. When you do it, it's cringe. The end. So true.
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
For those who are leaning on theory, this whole thing is a classic high-low versus middle maneuver. The administration is using the chimps to bludgeon the middle managers and professional classes. Hoo, ha ha ha, chimp, 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 chimp. Ape strong.
Hoo, ha ha. Chimp, chimp, chimp. Chimp strong. Ape strong, my bad. German chimping. I never knew that I needed to hear German chimping, but now my life has been blessed. Blessed entirely. Thank you guys. You guys are a blessing to me. Sorry, Lord Breezy, you're late. We're just wrapping up now. Started early, finishing early. I've got to go put together a young boys climbing dome. He's been waiting very, very patiently, and so I'm going to be up late tonight building that for him. He'll be very happy for it. Reminder for those who were not here at the very beginning. On the first weekend in October, we're going to be doing a King-Pilled meetup in the Seattle area. If you would like to join us for that, shoot me a DM on Twitter at RealKingPilled or an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com. And then either later in the month of October or sometime in the month of November, I think we are going to do a Texas King-Pilled meetup. Astrolabians Unite IRL. Probably in the Austin area. Haven't nailed down, just a thought that occurred to me within the last couple of days. Haven't nailed down any details or anything like that. So shoot me an email if you would like to attend either one of those. An email or a DM on Twitter. realkingpilled@gmail.com or realkingpilled on Twitter. And I'll make sure that I get an idea of how many of you guys are coming, figure out a place to do it, and all that sort of thing. So there's that. Make sure you join the King-Pilled Discord, kingpilled.com. Do it. It's a good place. You won't regret it. Many are saying that it is the best private community on the internet. And yeah, EWBSX, make sure you download it. EWBSX, or it's EWBSX.app or EWBSX on iOS and Android. And go get your EWBSX merch, EWBSX.store. And share the show. Please do. I think the audience is finally starting to grow a little bit again. And appreciate you guys. Thank you for sticking out for a long stream. Really enjoyed it. The chat just makes the whole show. It wouldn't be nearly as much fun without the chat. So thank you guys in the chat. And yeah, I will catch you guys tomorrow. I already got most of the show put together. So we'll touch on that Tucker Carlson, Sam Altman interaction, which was very interesting. We'll talk about the Nepalese government and one of their great rhetoricians that's emerging out of there. And we'll also talk about the assassin himself and some of the stuff that is emerging. And I'm sure many things will happen between now and then. So make sure you guys do not miss the Astrolabe tomorrow. Go subscribe to the Substack, and you can get all the links of everything that I went through today. And it's another way that you can support. Oh, and I have to give a absolutely monumental shout out. I didn't see this until a couple days after it came in because apparently notifications weren't working. But a absolutely massive, where's my thing here, to Angela for the $500 tip via Venmo. Says she's been listening for 5 years and she's finally tipping her streamer. Blew me away. I opened Venmo and I was like, what in the hell? So thank you very much, Angela. You are a patriot. And that's for the rest of you, if you want to support the show, you can use the Streamlabs link, tips.kingpill.com. I've also got Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee. There's a Lightning wallet there. If you want to send Bitcoin, I will happily collect all of your Bitcoins. I love having Bitcoins. So it's kingpilled@manabitcoin.com if you would like to send some Bitcoins to your boy here. And yeah, that is all I've got for you guys now. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your evening. And for now, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States,